Hello and welcome to Hold Up, a movie podcast. Last time we examined what happens when politics breaks down and the fires of war consume and destroy. Tonight, we see what happens when the war gets cold and the battles are fought in the shadows. Get ready for secrets and stealing and chasing of all kinds, for tonight's theme is spies. I am your host, Davan Skelhorn, and with me, as always, Chris Worldmind Murphy, and special guest,
Huh.
the great and powerful Jody Simpson.
Yes, I guess. Great intro. I don't know, but thanks for having me. I've liked listening to this podcast, so it's nice to actually be on it. So
We're happy to
that's
have you.
kind. Thank you.
I'm a big
And
movie
none
guy.
of
I
us
don't.
It's a real
I,
pleasure.
yeah, I don't know if you realize it, but I used to work in a video store. So like that was my
Hmm.
when I was a teenager. So
Well,
Well,
that's
that's a very
that's
good
an
place to.
excellent segue.
oh,
Yeah, I
is
would
it?
say,
Oh,
Devin.
okay.
Wouldn't you say?
I would say so. It's time
Segue.
for origin stories.
Oh, okay.
What's with you in movies?
What's with me and movies? Well, movies
Yeah.
are been a passion of mine because when I was young, I grew up poor, and unfortunately, I didn't get to go to movies. So movies were something that the first movie I remember seeing in the theater was Back to the Future. So that was in '85 or '86, I can't remember, but I think it's '85. But yeah, so like it's movies have always been an experience for me. They've always been something that's taken me out of the gray areas of my life. And then later on in life, I had the option of running a video store for a while, so I did that for 2 years. So that was a lot of fun. I did the night shift at a
Watch movies all
franchised.
night.
Well, it was an interesting job because we had an adult section and we had a lot of people
Oh
come in.
my.
It was interesting, I guess is the easiest way
The
to say
night
it. But
crowd was a different clientele. Is that what you're telling me?
yeah, but the thing that I really liked about the job was the fact that we got, I think it was three movie rentals a week or something like that as part of our pay as well. So I got to really, you know, go nuts on movies, and that was back when VHS was a thing. Before even DVDs. DVDs weren't even out when I was working at the video store. So it was a lot of fun. I worked for a franchise store called Jumbo Video, which I don't know if anybody is familiar with that, but
Couple VHSs.
Yes.
yes,
I
but
remember Jumbo Video.
I've
Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
I used to
to be
work
a
at
customer
one
of
of them.
Jumbo Video.
Yes, they were known for their
Me
free
too.
popcorn.
Yeah.
That was one of
And good
their big
popcorn it
things.
was.
It's like Rose
Yeah,
Video.
except if
It's
you had
just
to make
treat.
it. Yeah, if you had to make it, you might not want to eat it, but it was overall
Yeah,
it was fun.
right on,
So,
right
but
on.
yeah, basically it's always been an escapism for me, I guess. And growing up, I started getting into a lot more of the production side of things to see, start appreciating movies for the shots and the setups and the various lighting and various other moods and techniques that are used to portray the without the actual actors. So I got into a lot of that too. So I started doing some of that in high school as well. So, but that's about it. But it's not all about me, is it?
No, but that might have been our best origin story yet. That
Oh,
was a good
okay.
one.
Well,
Yeah.
Uh,
I
Yeah.
I,
We
I
like to
will
get
I will
a
make
we like to
sure
get a
I
feel.
next time I talk to Dave Mater, I'll make sure I mention that to him.
well, look, I got it. I'll tell you right now. We invite Dave on the show. He keeps bringing stinkers. Um,
Oh,
he and you brought a much better movie than the two that he's previously brought. I'll tell
I'm
you that.
glad to hear that. I'm glad to
Now,
hear that.
I'll give him a pass for Gattaca because I thought it was. I remembered it being good too, but it wasn't.
Gattaca was good at the time, but now that we've had
Yeah,
better
it just
movies
didn't
that have
hold
come
up.
out, it's not as good.
It, it didn't reach
Yeah, it's a
our
little
bar of does
stale.
it hold up. It's quite stale. It's
Well,
just
if we're going based on the premise of this podcast, I would say no, it doesn't. But
yeah, and
that's
that's what
just
we
me.
said too. Well, here's what you know what I think I'll just roll these at the start before we get going. So there's what we have for our A movies so far, Jody. That's what we've
House Party as in like
are great movies.
party.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's the best party movie maybe ever.
It was so stupid, but it was fun. Bridge over River.
No, it's
amazing.
it is, but it's also poignant and beautiful, and like
It is.
It
It's a
holds
beautiful
together
movie.
so well.
They did
It's
a
just
remake
like,
of it, eh? I don't know if you saw that. There's a
and
remake.
apparently
no.
it's terrible.
Wow.
It's
It has to
terrible.
be.
Of course
and
it
I
is.
was told at one point, at one point they're like, "Yo, let's do the dance," and they do the exact dance that's in House Party.
Oh,
as some
you
sort of
can't do that without
callback,
kid and play.
No.
Yeah,
That's
it's
Oh,
terrible.
man.
Oh no.
So there's some
No.
great
And-
movies going on over here. Bridge Too Far. That's one of my favorite war movies.
These are our C movies.
Really?
Really? That's
These are
your
the ones
C
we
movie?
didn't like. This is our
Really?
C list. See,
That-
yep. Here's where this is our
okay.
B list here.
What was the war movie in the B list? Guessing it was
Neither. Bridge on the River Kwai and
that's a B list movie for you.
made
That
the
was
A-list.
great too.
No, that was.
But no, Bridge on the River Kwai is an A-lister. Bridge on the River Kwai in 1917
Oh, okay.
made our A-list.
Okay, good.
On the B list, we have like things like Tingler,
Logan's Run. That's great.
I loved it, but I wasn't agreed with entirely on that.
Yeah, I know Dave doesn't like it, but
yeah, he didn't. He brought us down on that.
Gremlins is very overrated. Gremlins 2 is a much better.
That's
movie.
what Murphy said. That's exactly what Murphy said.
Oh, it is
Gremlins
way
1 is
more
still
fun.
amazing.
Yeah, it's way more
Thank
fun.
you.
It's got way better characters.
And there's
Everybody's
the C
very
movies.
dimensional in the first movie.
Vindication.
Yeah,
All these C movies were pretty bad.
I'm not
We
trying to
didn't
suck
like
up
A Bridge
or
Too
anything. I'm
Far.
just saying.
It was pretty.
Bridge Too Far is a classic.
It's a slog.
See, I went through a big war phase where
Yeah.
I watched pretty much every war movie there was available at that time, and that was
Fair enough.
still one of my favorite ones.
Bridge on the River
I
Kwai
like
is
The
one of the
Bridge
best
Too
movies
Far.
I've ever seen.
It's a great movie.
It's amazing.
I like to Bridge Too Far, just because of the spectacle of the practical effects and the whole
Very
thing that
big
just
budget,
bewildered
yeah.
me. I was just like, wow, this is.
Yeah,
Feels like
the
a
acting
real,
is a little
Tropic
phoned
Thunder
in
film
though.
or something.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
that's
acting's
what
a
makes
bit
me,
phoned
like,
in though.
Again,
Yeah.
pull back to that, like this reminds me of Tropic Thunder in the sense that, those guys were making a big budget real war movie with all sorts of special effects, and they were also phoning in their acting, and it's just
Sam follows me.
Like there's inspiration.
Just so you know,
I know,
it's weird.
Sam follows me.
He loves you.
But,
Oh, is that what it is? I don't think so.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Sam, VHS tapes are what we would watch movies on, and they're VHS players
VHS.
where you would watch
That right there. That's a VHS tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be kind.
Eventually, you wear the tape out, and then your screen gets.
Yeah, actually, my copy of what was it? Back to the Future. My VHS copy of Back to the Future got so worn out that there was actually scenes in it where it would actually like kind of just disappear for a minute and then come back again. It was that used. I watched that movie. Had to have been 100 times at this point, easily.
So let's get into it, fellas. Here in Theater 1, we have North by Northwest from 1959, starring Cary Grant, Ava Marie Saint, James Mason, and Martin Landau, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Now, before we hit the trailer, I had never seen this movie before.
Oh, really?
No. Same.
Jody has.
I have. Yeah. All three of these movies I've seen before. I did watch all three of them in the last 2 days.
Good. Just so did I, and I had not seen any. So, but I've seen lots of Alfred Hitchcock, but I had never seen Cary Grant in a movie before. I don't think.
Really?
And yeah, so
he was sarcasm ahead of his time.
He certainly was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed what was presented so far, but yeah, let's get a refresher on this trailer. Too many films to watch, so Cary Grant, Eva Marie Saint, and James Mason.
Good evening, Alfred Hitchcock.
I'm an advertising man, not a red herring. I've got a job, a secretary, a mother, 2 ex-wives, and several bartenders.
Okay, I gotta tell you, the one distracting thing about this movie is the transatlantic accent.
Cary Grant,
Yeah.
Transatlantic accent.
It's I mean, it's so phony, and it's just a little bit distracting.
The only thing I have a problem with this trailer is the fact that it literally tells you most of the movie. Which
You run into that a lot.
Yeah.
It's a problem with trailer making.
Trailers all around. Yeah.
A lot of trailers are like that, yeah, for sure.
Tell me, why are you so good to me?
Shall I climb up and tell you?
But I would never
I
seen
wish
Cary
I could
Grant
get the
before, but
name.
he's so charming. And like, I see why
I've
he
never
was such
seen
a
Eva
famous
St.
leading
Marie
man.
before.
Oh, me neither.
I've never seen Eva St. Marie before. Oh my god, she took my
Eva,
breath
Eva
away in this
Marie
film.
Saint.
Yeah, Eva Marie Saint.
and James Mason as the man of sinister surprises.
Yeah, I mean, across the board, the
Satisfy
performances
you is
were
when I
pretty
play
great.
dead. In your very next role, you'll be quite convincing.
And he's
I
slick,
assure you.
though. Like, he was like Robert Downey Jr. before there was Robert Downey Jr. He was like, he's just got such a slick tongue.
The thing that caught me the most is Walter Landau. Walter
Landau.
Landau, that's it.
Martin Landau.
Yeah,
Martin Landau, sorry.
Landau looked,
He just
so sharp.
he's so sinister. Like it
Oh,
just
so
when he
he's
was
got those
younger,
eyes.
he looked even more sinister than he does, in the older days, right?
Way more.
I was waiting for him to do some crazy shit, but he really didn't. Like some
No.
like serious like evil Smithers shit.
Yeah.
But it never happened.
All right, so that's the trailer.
That's the
for-
re-release trailer. That's the
Yeah, there we go.
I think it because the original movie came out. I think they came out in black and white originally, did it not? And then they released it in color. I think the original theatrical was black and white.
That makes
But I
sense.
could be
'cause
wrong.
When you look up images, you certainly see a lot of them in black and white.
Well,
And
yeah,
that,
but
like, famous image
the
of
press
him
stuff was
running?
always in black and white anyway,
Yes.
right? So
Oh, fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. So I'm going to get into the synopsis on this movie. And Murphy, I know, has a lot of images that he loves that he'll put up. Well, I'm going to get into this. You ready, Murphy? All right.
I'm ready to.
The year is 1958, the year before the movie came out. And in a New York City hotel bar, a waiter pages George Kaplan. And at the very same time as the waiter pages George Kaplan, Cary Grant here, what's his name again? Thornhill. Roger Thornhill. Yeah. Summons the waiter at the same time. So he's mistaken for Kaplan and kidnapped, which is a crazy start to this movie, especially like it's not what you expected. And he's just so cool about it. Like he's being kidnapped and he's just super cool. And what's funny, he's not like the spy character.
Which I think is actually the most disturbing part of the entire movie is the fact that like he's okay with the fact that he just got abducted. Like he's cracking whips and
everything.
There's
a slick customer.
I would say like just people just sort of like, oh, this person is either getting abducted or this guy's running through and nobody seems to care. Like he runs past like through multiple securities and stuff like that. Like it's kind of hilarious how everything all just gets let happen in front of him. I find, but still.
Oh yeah, the way the way the events play out in this movie, I was glued to the screen. It's so well written. Like for a screenplay, it just like the pacing is so modern.
Yeah, I think it was definitely ahead of its time when you compare other movies of this time frame. It definitely the thing that struck me the most interesting about the entire movie wasn't even anything to do with the story. It was actually the visuals. Intro, like the opening credits and how they're doing the like North by Northwest like grid, and then all of a sudden it turns into like the building and stuff like that. I just think for the fact that this was made in what 59, I think
59.
Yeah, 59
came out in 59. Yeah,
like just like some of the cool things that they did in this movie were just they must have been ahead of themselves here. Like Hitchcock obviously is a very good filmmaker, but I just think from a visual aspect of things, I think that this is just a phenomenal movie to watch on the visual side of things. Even if you don't care for the story, it's still a pretty fun thing just to watch from a visual side of things.
It's pretty solid across the board. Maybe Peter's out a little bit in the third act, but honestly, I'm starting to forgive movies for that because 99 out of 100 movies, Peter out in the third act.
It's harder to keep that third act in check for sure. Yeah,
but that's just like what Jacques Brunswick on The Simpsons says: the greatest feeling in life is not the deed, it is anticipation. So like that's why the first act is always the best. It's just like you're just anticipating everything, and in the second act,
see, I think the second act is actually the better act in this movie personally, but I think the first act is just filled with flaws.
Oh, in this movie, I would.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So the first act is good. Like it pulls you in right away. They just kidnap him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it starts right off. Like there's no.
He's just an
around.
ad executive, so it's like I guess he's slick in his ad exec business. I guess, but
yeah.
it translates.
Well, he's taken out of his element, right? That's the whole fish out of water type thing, right?
In my description of our episode here, I mentioned that we're basically examining the periphery of spycraft, and I think that's interesting. Like in this movie, the main character is not a spy. He's just caught up in
he's mistaken for one
type business. He's mistaken for one.
Which, yeah.
So that's an interesting kind of spy movie. And in Ronin, it's sort of like what spies do when they're not spies anymore.
That's right.
Like when they become the Ronin.
When they're done,
you know,
when they're done working for one particular agency and they're going rogue, you know.
And in the last one's more of your typical spy doing spy things, spy movie. Yeah, more akin to a James Bond or a Mission Impossible type thing.
I'll save my comments for Atomic Blonde till when we get there. But it's yeah. I'm not going to spoil.
There will be words. No, we'll get there.
I'm going to have words about that one.
North by Northwest. Yeah. North by Northwest.
All right, let's focus on the topic at hand.
So they take him to Townsend Estates, basically, where the bad guy Van Damme is just pretending to be Townsend. Though I don't think he ever says he's Townsend. Maybe he does, but he just lets him believe.
No, I think it's assumed. I don't think he actually does say it anywhere in the movie. Yeah.
But then he finds out later whose estate it is, and he finds out it's this guy named Townsend. And then he goes and confronts this guy named Townsend. Like, this guy's crazy. He's just like, I'm in on this spy stuff now. I'm just going to see how it plays out, kind of. Like, he wants to get to the bottom of it anyway.
Yeah.
So he goes and visits Townsend at the United Nations, where he's a diplomat. And he confronts him. And he's just like, man, I don't stay there, like, hardly ever. There's nobody there. He's just like, well, who are those people living at your house? He's just like, what?
This part is the turning point for me in the movie, because up until this point, it's kind of in my opinion. But once we get this scene, like especially the scene with the knife in his hand, right? Like that's when things just go full tilt in this movie, in my opinion. So it's right there is literally the moment when you're like, okay, now I need to continue this movie. You know what I mean? Like it's like that's the lock right there. Yeah.
And that moment's funny because that kind of thing has been done a million times since then, where like somebody takes the knife out of somebody or who's just been stabbed and gets mistaken for the killer. But it's like, it's so funny in this case. Maybe because it's older, but it's just, I don't know. It just made me laugh because it's happened so many times since then. I'm just like, oh my God, like I know what's going to happen here, but it's like, it's hilarious at the same time.
Yeah.
He's clearly going to get mistaken.
You kind of know what's going to happen there, but at the same time, you don't, because he grabs a knife, which is just like, whoa, okay, you just full on grabbing the knife and then pulls it out to be like, boom. Perfect.
That picture is hilarious.
Well, not only that, but realistically, it doesn't actually match the scene. So obviously, it was a picture that was taken after the fact, but it's
obviously
it doesn't match the scene because half those people weren't even in those positions when he pulls out the knife. So it's like, oh, okay. But
this movie is almost like every kind of movie rolled into one. Like it's comedy, it's action, it's got mystery, it's got romance.
Yeah, the sarcasm of Cary Grant, I think, is probably one of the shining lights in this movie. He does a lot of sarcasm.
As soon as they kidnap me, it's just like, so where are you taking me? I mean, I am being kidnapped, right? That's what's happening here, right? Like,
yeah.
What's up with that?
Can we bring up Murphy's mic a bit? I can never hear him.
Yeah.
Can you bring up your
Yeah,
mic
we
a
can do
bit?
that.
Either that or just Davin's a little too loud, but one of the two. Here I am running your
I can
podcast.
bring up my mic a bit.
That's the producer in me. I'm sorry about that. But
No, it's all good, man.
oh, there, that's much better.
Yeah, much
I just
better,
want to hear.
anyways.
I'm here to hear both of your opinions, so that's why I want to make sure I hear you as well.
Of
You're not
course.
going to want to hear his opinion
So yeah.
later on Atomic Blonde.
Oh
So
my God, this guy, Mr. I'm not even gonna get. We'll get into it later. Anyway, yeah. So the paper stabbing and all that stuff leads to probably one of my favorite scenes is the CIA meeting.
Yes, I
where
love
they're
this
all
scene.
just sitting around, casually talking about and figuring out the exact thing that this guy's going through, and just saying, you know what, nah, fuck it, we'll let him go.
yeah,
We'll just let him. Yeah.
yeah, we'll just let it play out. Like we can't stop it. We need people to think he's Kaplan now because we can't let them know there's actually no Kaplan. Like there never was a Kaplan. Kaplan's not even a real dude. They're just like
Apparently,
that gets into the
names
insanity
are used.
side, right? Yeah.
Apparently, they're in 2014 they discovered an ant, and they named it a certain breed, but they found out that wasn't actually a thing, so they ended up renaming it the George Kaplan. It's like some type
oh
of
my god, that's amazing.
term for an ant. Yeah, so there's like an ant that, as of 2014, referred to as like a George Kaplan. It's more of no, not an ant. Sorry, it's a fly. It's a fly. But yeah, either way, bug of some type.
Oh, okay.
So he's on the run now, old Roger, and he gets on a train where he does meet the lovely Eve Kendall. And Murphy's got a bit of a crush, I think.
Oh, she's a beautiful woman.
Dude.
Beautiful woman.
She's a beautiful woman. Even to this day, I looked some photos up of her. Even at 98 years old, stunning.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Oh, she's a formidable presence in this movie for sure. So she invites him to his table later. So basically, she covers for him. Like the train police are about to catch him, and she hides him. And, like he's gone that way, that sort of thing. And so yeah, he's has some dinner with her later.
Why is that showing?
They
because somebody picked it up.
Oh, I just blocked them.
they share the evening together, in her car. And then he finds out that she's actually a government agent. But he, agrees to help maintain her cover because he likes her.
I think the one thing that this movie really does portray is the fact that the police are terribly bad at their jobs.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's like
he
puts a hat on and instantly he's invisible to everybody. Like
Ronin does that even more, I think, which I'm going to talk about. Like
Ronin does.
They make all these
of
movies show
Ronin.
that, like, compared to spy type people, the police are just bliss oafs.
Well, they're supposed to be a higher level,
right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so
I would have liked to see more Martin Landau in this movie, though. I felt he was underused.
I would have too.
Yeah.
He didn't get a lot. Him and Van Damme. He was like Van Damme's number 2.
Yeah.
Or his number 1, I should say.
He's just so creepy looking. Like you just want more of him. Like in this type of movie, you want more of them. I find, but
so Thornhill gets to Chicago and he goes to Kaplan's hotel, and he learned that he checked out.
He gets to Chicago and he goes to Kaplan's hotel. Did you forget a little important bit after the whole like train, romance scene? Just from there, it's like, well, boom, Annie's in Chicago now. Are we just gonna look over this bit?
The best scene in the entire movie.
Sorry. All right.
Best scene in the whole movie.
So he's waiting at a bus stop.
Now look at that visual though. Just go back one if you could. That visual is fantastic, and we get this symmetry the entire movie. So Hitchcock takes this whole cross thing and just keeps going with it, and I like the fact that it's also pointing northwest. Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, I love this. Just him waiting at this bus stop in the middle of friggin' nowhere.
This is a great scene because, like, literally, he's
in a
just
suit
standing
and
there,
tie,
and then another guy shows up, and they look at each other.
Yeah. Oh, it's so weird. I'm like,
It's
what
just
is this?
so odd.
Yeah, this is. That was one of my favorite.
You're the man
scenes
I'm waiting for. He's like, I'm waiting for a bus.
Yeah, he's
You're
like,
right.
"Ah,
I
I'm just
scrolled
waiting for a
down
bus,
too
bro."
far, and that's why I skipped over this. I'm
No, okay.
reading a synopsis here. But yeah,
Look at the honker in that dude, though, eh?
And while they're talking, they notice there's this crop duster circling around, and Buddy even says, he's just like, "Well, that's weird. Dusting
No
crops
crops over there."
Yeah. Everybody's like, huh. And it starts chasing him, and like epic. Like this is the famous shot there.
This is my favorite scene of the entire movie, which I think it's probably one of the most well-known scenes of this movie. So, but just I don't know how they shot this. I don't know if it was just projected on a screen, behind him or not. But it looked very good. It looked very good, especially for the time period.
Yeah. From my understanding, it was a practical shot.
That's what I thought.
Plane and stuff. Most of the shots of him like on a field and the planes and sky are generally practical. It was actually when the plane, after he gets crop dusted and stuff, and he goes to stop this truck.
Oh God,
crazy shot too.
That's when things start getting like he's clearly on a green or blue screen here.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he gets knocked down. But
I love the look on his face when he's under the truck, though. Like just the look on his face
he sees
is
the
just
plane coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's coming into that oil truck, right? And like, and it happens so fast, and it just blows
the
up,
plane runs into an oil truck and explodes. It's crazy.
I also like the fact that the plane, because of the speed it was coming in at, like it wasn't coming in at like some insane speed either. Like it was
like bounced off the truck.
It literally bounced off of it, which in reality would kind of make more sense, right? Like it's not like the typical, Hollywood.
So it makes it look practical.
Two things touch and it's an instant like big bang explosion, right? Like it's I like the fact that there was some fire. And
do you guys notice anything particular about this setup?
Go back though.
They're models.
Oh yeah, for sure.
These are models.
Oh yeah.
There's a little fake person in there.
They did pretty good with it though, I thought.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Except obviously the fire is a little out of proportion, but it's
it's
Hollywood
they used
fire.
a bit of gasoline in the shot, but fun shot all the same,
Yeah, you know what? This is also 59. Like, let's be honest. Like, that's pretty good
really
for
good.
59. I've seen some
It's only when we
from the
slowed it
50s.
down. Yeah, we reviewed The Apartment.
Oh, terrible movie.
It's a terrible movie.
I never understood. I have one friend that absolutely loves that movie, and to this day I still haven't got him to explain how.
There's no explanation that
loves
can be
it,
had.
and I have no idea why.
Yeah, he just slaps the shit out of him. Oh my gosh, you should sue them.
It's brutal.
It is.
Who picked that one?
But yes, he does get back to Chicago.
I did. I had never seen it, and people say it's good. It's like, yeah.
No, that's the thing about movies, right? Everybody has that movie that other people don't like.
What we're here to find out.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's what we're here to find out. We pick movies we haven't seen to find out if they hold up or if they don't. And
so Thornhill gets to the hotel, doesn't find anything, so he leaves. He goes to an art auction where Van Damme's there purchasing a Mexican.
Well, he doesn't quite not find anything. He finds Eva again.
Yeah, he finds Eva again. I do like this scene though, where he's in the bathroom and he's like faking the shower and he's watching her the whole time.
Yeah,
I love that shot. That's pretty cool.
True.
And if you notice, he's looking through the door hinge. He's not actually looking through where the door opens
and stuff.
Yeah. He's actually. And
then he eventually follows her to the bid place, though. Yeah.
He tracks her to the auction. Yeah.
The auction scene's great too.
Van Damme sees him, so he leaves to deal with Thornhill.
Yeah.
And Thornhill disrupts the auction until police arrive. And he says he's a fugitive murderer, but they release him to the government agency's chief, the professor, who reveals that Kaplan was invented to distract Van Damme from the real government agent, who is, of course, Eve Kendall. And, of course, he agrees to maintain her cover because he likes her. And this is where like the movie kind of loses me a bit. They're at the Mount
this
Rushmore
is the
Visitor
drop off
Center.
part. Yeah,
Yeah.
for me as
Now
well.
he's willing to play the role of Kaplan, and he's gonna go negotiate Van Damme's turnover of Kendall to be arrested. Kendall then shoots Thornhill, seemingly fatally, and flees. Turns out that her gun was loaded with blanks, though of course this is all a big trick. Afterward, the professor arranges for Thornhill and Kendall to meet. Thornhill learns Kendall must depart on a plane with Van Damme and his henchman Leonard. Leonard is Martin Landau.
Yeah.
He tries to dissuade her from going, but is knocked unconscious and locked in a hospital room. Thornhill escapes.
He's so menacing.
Yeah, I know.
Love him. So menacing.
He escapes his eyes, man, and he's got this kind of like creepy "I'll kill you" smile too.
He's got that Norman Bates look to him.
So then Thornhill goes to Van Damme's house to rescue Kendall. At the house, Thornhill overhears that the sculpture holds microfilm and that Leonard has discovered the blanks remaining in Kendall's gun. Van Damme indicates that he will kill Kendall by throwing her from the plane. Thornhill manages to warn her with a surreptitious note. Van Damme, Leonard, and Kendall head for the plane. As Van Damme boards, Kendall takes the sculpture and runs to the pursuing Thornhill. They flee to the top of Mount Rushmore. I don't really like this whole scene. As they're climbing down the face of Mount Rushmore. Like, I don't know, maybe Ben Franklin's face. I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention to that.
Well, there's Lincoln.
There's George
They're
Washington.
getting shot at. Leonard gets
I think
shot
he's on
by
George
Park
Washington's
Ranger.
face right now. Yeah.
Okay, he's on
Well,
Washington's
they're
face.
kind of getting shot at. They're getting chased through the woods, and they start climbing down. And apparently, while they were doing this, as you can see here, Eva Marie Saint, she was climbing down and she whacked her elbow, like legitimately whacked her elbow. It wasn't supposed to be a stunt thing. And Alfred Hitchcock was like, "Well, I might as well just keep that in the film."
That's really banged her elbow. Yeah, might as well, man.
Yeah.
That happens
but
a
yeah,
lot.
they keep making their way down, and then
They keep making their way down. Yeah, Leonard's killed by a park ranger. Van Damme is taken into custody by the professor. Meanwhile, Kendall is hanging onto the mountain by her fingertips. Thornhill reaches down to pull her up, and then at which point the scene cuts to him pulling her, now the new Mrs. Thornhill, into an upper berth on a train, which enters a tunnel.
Yes, which obviously is a very phallic way to end it.
Sure.
This is the best euphemism ever, and Hitchcock thought he was the bee's knees for conceiving that imagery.
I'm sure he did. Yeah.
So that was our plot. What did you guys think of the plot and storytelling in this movie?
Honestly, I really think it's the weakest part of the entire movie. I think the visuals are amazing. I think the actors do a pretty good job of things. I think some of the action scenes are fantastic. But the story is probably the weakest link here.
I think the best part about the story is its pacing, because it does, like, the sequence of events.
The pacing is good.
Engaged.
Yeah. Well, I watched this with my 16-year-old who's never seen this movie before, and she's not into anything that old normally, and she enjoyed it. So she said, it was a good movie. So she enjoyed it. So she said it was a little campy, obviously, but every teenager of our age is going to say that.
Is the transatlantic accent. That's the
it's pretty bad. It is pretty bad.
He's
but...
supposed to be based
what do you think,
Murphy? Washington.
The only thing that really bugs me about this entire movie is how he reacts to being abducted. Like,
how he's so cool. What do you want to do? He tries to escape, like, at the stoplight.
Well, he's a gentleman. He's supposed to be a marketing gentleman. He kind of thinks it's a joke at first. He thinks it's some kind of prank, so he's not totally freaking out until he starts getting like a little deeper and caught up into it. Mostly his freak out starts to happen after he, basically gets like a whole bottle of booze just like thrown into his face.
Oh, we forgot. We didn't really talk about that, did we?
That was a fun scene.
No, they just like straight up pour bourbon into that cup and apparently made him drink it and then throw them into a car to go drunk driving.
Oh yeah, that was
A whole
crazy
bottle.
setup. The driving scene where he's just drunk as hell driving is insane too. Like this movie keeps
Well,
you
oh
freaking
yeah, the
engaged.
drunk driving scene would definitely not fly nowadays.
No, you
Like,
never see that.
you wouldn't get that past any censor. They'd just be like, no,
Especially how
can't do
he
that.
just kind of gets a slap on the wrist for all that insane drunk driving. They're just
No,
like,
he got a $2 fine.
yeah, exactly. Just pay the
The guy's like,
$2.
just
his
pay
mother
the
keeps telling him.
$2.
And a little distracting too is like he's clearly the same age as the actress that plays his mother. And I looked it up; she's actually 8 years older than him, but still, like they look the same age.
Well,
Like he's supposed to be
yeah.
playing this young 30-something gentleman, but he's like
Yeah,
in his
but Cary
50s at
Grant
this
wasn't
point.
even 30 then.
Definitely
like,
no.
Yeah, like
No,
it's,
But
definitely in his, like,
that no, he
50s.
was like in his 50s when they filmed this, and like
oh, for
he's
sure,
supposed to
yeah.
be this young gentleman.
But I like it. I like the sarcasm. I think the writing's fairly good, like the dialogue itself. I just think
the
story
dialogue's
is,
fantastic.
yeah, I think the story
Yeah,
is just the weakest part of the whole thing.
Let's get
for
to our
me, the
scenes
film,
that pick our favorite scenes here. Oh, go ahead, Murphy.
All right, go fuck me, I guess.
No. I was already
Jeez.
clicking on it. Get out of here. Anyway. Yes, fuck you,
for
but you can
me,
still
this
say your
is-
point.
You should have a segment called "Fuck Murphy," where you
Well, we
just
have
randomly
similar
cut him
segments.
off.
He's just waiting to do that.
Look, I'm
Anyway,
in
as
charge
I
of
was saying,
the pacing of this
the
podcast.
yeah, and you're always like jumping back and forth and won't give me a hot second at least get my thought in here. So come on, give me a hot second.
You guys are both in
I
that.
thought
You're
the
both in that
film-
icon, so you know.
I thought the film was really well paced. I thought it was enjoyable, and I did enjoy, as you said, the dialogue was really well done. Each shot was magnificently beautiful. Apparently, the beginning opening was one of the first examples of kinetic typography for
really?
like an opening intro. Yeah, which was
That I
really
didn't
cool. I liked some of these like touches.
Good
even
example,
in
that's
the
for
beginning
sure.
when Alfred. Yeah, even the beginning when Alfred Hitchcock tries to get on the bus, but he can't quite get on the bus, you know, at the very like beginning before the credits and stuff. So like it was like a lot of stuff like this is like out of all of these classic films, this is definitely by far my favorite one. And out of all of Alfred Hitchcock films, this is definitely by far my favorite one. Like it was a really solid film throughout. I felt, however, disappointed mostly by the final act and the ending. I thought it was very like, that's it? Really? This was so like there was so much fun and play.
You had all this build up in it.
More.
It's like being a teenager and you know getting your first run. You know, like it's yeah.
Yeah, you know, you go in and you deflated the balloon before you really got the game going, and now you just got to deal with a soggy mess, you know, and then that's no fun for anyone.
That is a fantastic way of explaining it.
Oh my.
But speaking of soggy messes and wet dreams,
scenes.
oh man, can I talk about my favorite scene?
Absolutely.
You wouldn't believe what it is, but it was the dinner date scene between Gary Grant and Eva Marie Saint. It was like just the tit for tat. It was such a modern date like conversation.
Here we are again.
Yes.
Do you recommend anything?
Yeah.
The brook trout. Little trouty,
Captivating.
but quite good.
The little trouty.
Quite good.
Brooke?
But
Yeah,
quite
so
good.
the brook trout.
And that's bullshit because brook trout is the least trouty of all the trouts because it's not a trout. The brook trout is a char species. So get it right, Alfred Hitchcock.
There you go.
I know, I look vaguely familiar.
Yes.
He's on every paper. Like he keeps flipping them over and setting things on top of papers
Yeah, I
and
have
shit.
that effect on people.
It's
He's a
pretty
tinkerer.
funny.
Around on the tree.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a
It's
tinkerer.
a nice
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
You think so?
I think it's supposed
I
to
wouldn't
portray
say
that he is a little nervous, though.
Oh,
Like
you're
that's kind of
that
what I got
type.
with it.
What?
Like even though he's
Yeah,
like a
you
cool
know, he doesn't-
cucumber, he's still nervous.
Not really.
Yeah, he's
Because
not
honest
quite
women
sure
frighten
about
me.
himself.
Why?
I don't know.
I love this
Somehow they
line.
seem to put me at a disadvantage.
Because you're not honest with them.
Exactly.
Like that business about the 7 parking tickets.
What I mean is,
Although that was pretty
the
funny.
moment I meet an attractive woman, I have to start pretending I've no desire to make love to her.
What makes you think you have to conceal it?
She might find the idea objectionable.
Then again, she might not.
Boom. Oh, kill me.
Think how lucky I am to have been seated here.
Well, luck has nothing to
I like
do.
that line
lucky
too.
I
Think
am
how
to be
lucky I
seated
am to be seated here.
I like how he's got that kind of
$5
twang
to
to it
seat you
too.
here if you should come in.
He's so slick, man.
And
Well,
so
that's Cary
she,
Grant though.
man.
Every Cary
Yeah,
Grant
Yeah,
movie is
man.
like this.
Maybe my favorite leading man of the
I
time.
never
He's
discuss
pretty
on an
slick.
empty stomach.
You've already eaten.
But you haven't.
It's a bit trouty.
So much innuendo there. So much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't you think it's time we were introduced?
I'm Eve Kendall. I'm 26 and unmarried. Now you know everything.
I don't think
Tell
I'm
me, what do
buying
you
the
do
26
besides lure
thing,
men
but
to their
alright.
doom on the 20th Century Limited?
I'm an industrial
That
designer.
line killed me. What do you do besides
Jack
lure men to
Phillips,
their doom on
Western
20th
sales
Century
manager for
Limited?
Kingley Electronics.
No, you're not. You're
As I
Roger
said, the
Thorne from
dialogue's
Madison
fantastic.
Avenue.
It's just this
And you're
story
wanted
that
for murder on
almost
every
in-
front page in America. And don't be so modest.
It's almost
The
a near
story's not
perfect
bad.
movie.
It's just not quite as good as all this other
Don't
stuff.
worry.
If the story was better, this would be a
How
near
come?
perfect movie.
I told you.
If the ending
nice
was better,
face.
this would be a near perfect.
Is that the only
movie.
reason?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a
Yeah.
good
It's going to
story.
be a long night.
Yeah, the first two acts are great story.
And I don't
Keeps me
particularly
involved.
like the book I've started.
Well, and since then, we've had how many
You know what I
mistaken
mean?
identity spy movies? Like,
Let
there's
me
been
think.
hundreds of thousands of them, right? So.
And this one's better than all of them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Very cool
Yeah,
scene.
I-
Very cool
yes,
scene.
One of my favorite scenes. It really made me fall in love with her character, and that just like.
I'm gonna see if I can
perfectly
find a
the
poster
story.
of her and send it to you, Murphy. That'll be
Well,
my
there.
that'll be my gift to you.
Jody, what scene holds up for you?
Oh, it has to be the classic one. It's got to be the crop dusting scene. I love that whole scene. It just everything about it just screams awesome. Like look at how long it takes for this goddamn plane to come at him. And
Well, I
it's
mean,
just-
how long would it take you to think that a plane is chasing you?
and as it's
like-
coming down, he's just like, wow. And he face
And then
plunges right
bullets
into the
fly
ground.
in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then you
It's like
hear
that
it kind
plane's
of
not
taking
chasing.
off, and he thinks, okay, well, I might be all right. And then you see it circling, and then you're like, oh shit, right? It's coming again, right? And this time it
Where
might
can
be
you
worse.
run? Smart running into the core.
Well,
Yeah, the
yeah,
core was a
no,
good idea.
considering it is a
Stay
crop
low.
duster, and you know it's armed with tons of pesticides.
Clearly
so-
gonna dust him. Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
And that's like the 50s,
Yeah, I
so
thought
he just
about it.
got
What-
DDP'd.
Oh yeah.
Like, that ain't good
What is-
stuff.
He'd
What are
be
the health
thrown in-
ramifications of this? You know.
Well, yeah. 2 years later, his character dies of cancer anyway.
Oh,
so, like, what-
absolutely. That's the thing.
A lumbago got him.
They never made a
Oh,
sequel for a
man.
reason.
yeah.
He was already
Well,
in a
poor
he was
Roger
already in a
Corman.
hospital bed at this point.
the
like,
sad
just
part
the-
is his gravestone just says, "Here lies Kaplan."
Yeah. And then you see the crop dusting coming up, and he's just like,
Yeah.
oh shit. And look at him.
Doesn't
He's
try to
just-
cover
this
his
is the
face or
50s.
anything.
What do you
This is
do,
the
right?
50s, so they
Okay,
probably
maybe a
dusted
breath.
Cary
Okay, I'll
Grant
take this
with
off.
Real pesticides.
Yeah, but just I know
We
it's
need to make it look real.
I know it's a fairly common scene, and everybody it
Great
kind
scene.
of references it, but it's just it made my day every time I see it.
Yeah, it's
Alright.
a solid scene.
What's yours, Davan?
What do you yeah.
What one did I pick, Murphy?
You picked the drunk tag, basically, is what I call title.
Oh, the drug
Thanks
tag's
for
pretty
it,
funny.
fellas.
Yeah.
Lieutenant, I want this man examined for driving
Oh, yeah,
while
this is great.
intoxicated.
Really? Yeah. You see, they try to kill me. No, he won't listen to me. And in a big
He's like, I
house,
don't
they
need
try
that. I
kill
need to
me.
see the police.
Let's just go.
And he's like there talking to.
I have
Somebody call the
questions though.
police.
Come
Do
on.
they really
Come
need
on.
to test them for this?
I know, it's so
like,
funny.
is it not obvious, fellas?
Like, he probably reeks of bourbon. Like, reeks of it.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Sit down.
He's not
He
walking
plays the
straight.
drunk guy
I don't want
very well.
Perfectly all right.
I don't want to sit.
We'll get him.
Perfectly all right.
Throw a
See,
book
He's like
Stole
laying
the
down
book
while
of
he's talking.
Assault with a gun,
dude's
bourbon,
drunk,
and a sports car.
The
Good
whole
God.
time he doesn't
You'll be
realize
all right
that
after a
he's
good
the one
night's
being
sleep.
arrested.
We got a
He
nice
thinks
cell all made
they're
up and
just
waiting.
gonna try to
I
get
don't
to the
know,
bottom
I'm
of
a
the people who
policeman.
kidnapped him.
Car was just
Yeah.
reported stolen.
It's just like, throw the book at him.
Huh?
Mrs. Babson up
See?
on Twining Road.
I got a call somewhere. Where's the phone?
You're allowed one call.
Over here.
You better make it your lawyer.
That beat officer is the oldest beat officer that hasn't been promoted in the world.
8109.
All the police are the oldest people.
Bonneville
Any
8109.
police officer, security guard, they're literally
Yeah,
just
they're
these
all
guys
old.
on the brink of retirement.
Yeah. All the porters were pretty old as well.
Just a minute, please.
Oh, and he's talking to his
Calls
mom.
his mother.
Oh, Mother?
Hello,
This is
mother.
your son, Roger Thornhill.
God, this is a good.
Yeah.
I'm really drunk and I'm in my
I'll find out.
50s. Come help me.
Yeah.
Where am I?
Glen Cove
Bring the
Police.
bail money. You have to bail me out.
Green Cove.
They say I gotta pay
It's
$2.
like the
No.
It's like the
no,
cool
Mother, I have
version of
nothing.
Skinner getting called into the brink.
No, these two
Yeah,
men, they
yeah.
poured a whole
Yeah.
bottle of bourbon into me.
A whole bottle. They just poured it right in.
Into it.
They just poured a whole
Just
bottle
didn't
into
give
me.
me
Come on, let's
it.
They poured a glass and made him drink it.
Well, I'm not finished yet.
Yes, you are. Come on.
Mother,
Like, plug his nose
I
until
gotta
he
go
opened
now.
his mouth and just started.
Will you get my lawyer right away and come out and bail me
I
out?
never
Tomorrow
expected the line, they didn't give me a chaser in
Tomorrow
a movie
morning,
from
he said.
1959. That one
Oh.
friggin' hit
I
me
know,
like a ton
I-
of bricks. I was like,
Yeah,
He
that
"Oh,
wants to
was
know
pretty
who said.
Sergeant Emil Klinger.
Sergeant Emil. Emil?
Sergeant Emu.
Email.
And I think that also
Emil
proves our
Klinger.
theory, right? Like all three of
I love
these
this
scenes
too.
that we
I don't believe
picked
it
are
either.
all good. They're all well
Sergeant
written.
Email Klinger.
I'm all right.
Yeah, I didn't believe it
Good night.
either.
Good night.
Oh,
That was Mother.
that was
That
mother.
was mine.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
That was the
So-
comedy in this movie. Like, it has everything.
There was a good chunk of comedy in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a fair amount of comedy and witty, you know, back and forth. And
Oh, you had
yeah,
one
I
more
would
scene
say-
too, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I did have like one more little scene. I did. That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so my one last little scene, and this is a scene that just made me laugh out loud because of everything that's happened to him up until this point in the film. And he just starts like crawling out of a window.
Oh yes, okay.
And he crawls into this other woman's room.
I love the music in the background though. It's very uppy. Yeah.
It's like music from a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Stop!
Oh, excuse me.
Stop!
Stop.
He's like, not right now. I have too much
Yeah.
bourbon.
Yeah, just that little.
I'll come
and I
back
was like,
later.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, I'll come back
So
later.
funny.
It's all good.
There's something that gets me more than like when a guy turns down a woman in like the most like curt way. Just
He's
just-
like, not right
I
now.
laughed.
Maybe later.
I laughed.
Which performance would you hold up? Jody, you first.
Well, Cary Grant. I think it's
I agree.
it's a timeless performance. I think everybody can learn a little bit from Cary Grant and how he handled himself during this movie. I think just his line delivery is spot on. He plays off of the other players really well. He's got some really good little tiny nits in there, which make things fun. And even his facial expressions and stuff like that, and how he plays off, especially off of Marie Saint. I think that alone, I think that's probably the best performance of the whole movie by far. But I think Eva does a great job as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's who my performance standout is Eva Marie Saint. She knocked it out of the park for me. I wasn't expecting such a captivating and stunning sort of leading woman. The way she just sort of commanded every shot and scene, she looked gorgeous. She held it every scene in my attention.
She has a
to
smooth
such-
confidence.
Well, yeah, the confidence in her was just amazing.
I think she's a great
smooth
pick
confidence.
because you have Cary Grant, who also has a very good amount of confidence going on, and she outplays every single scene she's with him. Like she
Every
just goes
scene.
right past him when it comes to
Yes.
confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like even like look at the smirk on her face. Like
But
she's
should,
running
'cause
the scene. Like she's running
she's
it.
an agent.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's just this
Yeah.
this dumb guy that got sucked into this thing. Well, he's not dumb, but you know,
He's
Well, I
gullible.
think that's
Fool.
debatable.
Bit of
I
a
think
fool.
there's a couple
He's a
things
bit
that
of a
are kind of
fool.
dumb with him, but
Yeah,
I think those two perfect match. I think that was
Yeah, it was
excellent
amazing
casting.
chemistry.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I agree with you,
casting.
Jody.
Yeah.
For me, it's Grant. His character. I can't imagine that character being likable, played by anybody else. Like his character is almost
Yeah,
tailor-made to be unlikable. He's like an ad executive. He's running around in a suit. He's
yeah.
too cool
You
for
want to
school all
not
the
like him.
time.
Yeah,
But with him, you don't. You like he's just very likable the whole time, and it's kind of surprising. And I really like Cary Grant. He's pretty awesome.
hmm
So
Yeah. I think
my first
it's the fact
introduction
that
to him, and
he's
what an introduction.
he's
I
done
think
some
it's the
great
fact that
movies.
because he's the leading man. Because he's the leading man, he finds himself in trouble often. I think that's what
Yes.
it is, and due to that fact, that's what makes him so relatable.
But I
and
will
makes him
say,
sort
out of
of
all
like-
the Cary Grant movies that I'm aware of, anyway, or have seen, I would say
Mm-hmm.
these two pairings are probably the best pairing that I've seen with him,
yeah.
by far. But you know, again, he has had some pretty good movies in his career.
Setting aesthetic.
I love the
well,
setting.
it's gorgeous.
Aesthetic.
It's,
Oh.
yeah. Oh,
Every-
this shot. I forgot about that.
This shot's
Yeah.
amazing. I love this shot. I love the symmetry. I love the fact that
Mountains in
as
the background.
and the way he pans
This
around the
shot
trees
is so
is just
expensive.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, it's got to be insanely expensive. But the one thing I liked about this scene is as they're talking, Hitchcock is actually panning around the trees, which is something that you don't see a lot of in movies because it gets distracting if it's done too much. But because the trees are so skinny in this, he almost used it to frame them as they're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Really cool scenes. Yeah.
Yeah,
love it.
well, that's what happens when you pay for 100 pines to be implemented and built on a whole set.
There you go.
The only part of the
It was-
setting I didn't like was Mount Rushmore. I
Yeah.
didn't need that. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah, it
I'd
almost
rather
like
have just
it was-
been on a mountain.
It almost felt like they were
making.
making a tourist movie at that point. Like it's
Yeah.
the Mount Rushmore thing. I know why they put it in, but I don't think it was needed. I think it takes too much away from our players at that point, right?
Yeah, it was basically a product of the director's initial visions and the ultimate script that was put together, and I think at the time they thought it was brilliant, and I'm sure at the time when watching it seemed brilliant, but this day and age not so much.
No,
It hindered
the whole
film a
third
little
act
more.
doesn't hold up, so to speak, in my opinion. But
Not the third
Yeah,
act so
but-
well. But
yeah,
you know
except
what?
for the trees part. The trees part is fantastic. I think it's
There's,
visually
there's,
a
there's
beautiful
so many
scene.
other scenes prior to the end of this film that's just like, this is stunning, this is hilarious, this is well paced, this is entertaining, like from top to bottom. I'm enjoying this film, and then at the end you're just like, well, wait, what happened? That's it.
Overall gorgeous. But I think it's
visually,
done.
it's a fantastic movie.
We got movie morsels with North by Northwest, 1959. I'm gonna try and keep these brief. I'm going to keep this brief. In numerous interviews, Martin Landau said that he made a decision on his own to play the character of Leonard as gay and in love with Philip Van Damme. In an October 2012 interview with Davan Faraci, Landau said that he was cast in this movie when Sir Alfred Hitchcock saw me in a play called Middle of the Night, Paddy Chayefsky's first Broadway play with Edward G. Robinson, which I toured with after the Broadway run. He was there opening night. I played a very macho guy, 180 degrees from Leonard, who I chose to play as a homosexual, very subtly. Because he wanted to get rid of Eva because he wanted to get rid of Eva Marie Saint with such a vengeance, James Mason, to the day he died, he became a friend of mine, and the most often asked question of James was whether Van Damme, his character, was bisexual. He said, no, he wasn't, but Landau made a choice, and there's nothing I can do about it. I actually caused him some grief. Everyone told me not to do that because it was my first big movie, and people would think I was gay. I'm an actor. I said it wasn't going to be my last movie, and it certainly wasn't. I've never played a character like that since, and I also felt it was something people would know or not know. It was very subtle. I thought in Boise, Idaho, they might not notice. Landau also said that after he made the decision to play Leonard as gay, Hitchcock and screenwriter Ernest Lehman were very supportive of the idea. Ernie Lehman added a line which was not in the script. Call it my woman's intuition was not in the original script. It was a very daring line for the 1950s. Men didn't say things like that, and Hitchcock loved what I did, and he left me alone.
Cool. I didn't actually
I thought
pick
it was
up on
really
that
cool.
at all. So
I know.
great.
I was like, oh, that's a pretty good line. I thought it was a good line. Call it my woman's.
It was a neat
intuition,
line,
but,
yeah,
like,
but
not. But yeah, the
we also live in a different
controversy
age,
of
right?
it.
So it's
exactly,
controversy
right?
back then was probably much different than it would be now. Like for somebody to say that now, we don't care, right?
You'd have to be a little less subtle these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. MGM put a great deal of pressure on Sir Alfred Hitchcock to eliminate the scene in the woods. After Eve shoots Roger, MGM felt that was an unnecessary scene that incurred the needless expense of building the set on a soundstage using 100 ponderosa pines. Hitchcock, however, felt that was an indispensable scene because it's the first meeting between Roger and Eve since he learned she was a double agent. Hitchcock won out in the end thanks to his contract that gave him complete artistic control of the movie regardless of production time or cost, which is like what a contract. This film featured two actors who headed spy agencies in their own 1960 television series. Edward Platt starred as Chief on Get Smart in 1965, and Leo G. Carroll starred as Mr. Waverly on The Man from U.N.C.L.E. in 1964, and it spit off The Girl
I didn't
from
put that
U.N.C.L.E.
together.
in
Yeah.
1966.
Okay.
Additionally, Martin Landau worked as a spy on Mission Impossible in 1966, and the crop scene is homaged in X-Files 1998 when Mulder and Scully are pursued by a helicopter in another crop field. Martin Landau appears in both of those films.
Yep.
The cast includes two of the stars from the same year, and this is one that I know Davin's going to enjoy. The cast includes two of the stars of the same year's The Tingler from 1959, Philip Coolidge and Patricia Cutts. That god-awful film was directed by William Castle, who had always envisioned himself as Hitchcock's rival as a master of suspense.
Fun little romp. Fun little tingle.
Can't say I've seen it.
Don't just save yourself the time.
I've heard
You'll like it, Jody.
No, you just watch our review and save yourself the time.
Oh, okay.
The final shot of the train entering the tunnel is a sexual reference.
Obviously.
Shocker. Sir Alfred Hitchcock came up with the innuendo and considered it one of his finest and naughtiest achievements. An Ernest Lehman screenplay just ended with, "The train heads off into the distance," or words to that effect. "There's no way I can take credit for the tunnel, damn it," said Lehman. Technically, there is no compass direction named north by northwest. In the process of boxing the compass, naming the 32 points of the compass by the direction, the points from west to north run west, west by north, west northwest, northwest by west, northwest, northwest by north, north northwest, north by west, north. There is a north northwest and a northwest by north, but not a north by northwest. The film went nearly $1 million over budget. The cinematography was by Robert Burks, edited by George Tomasini, and music by Bernard Herrmann, distributed by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer on July 1st, 1959, at 136 minutes, the budget of $4.3 million, and a box office of $9.8 million.
Not a great box office success. I mean, doubling your money's not bad, I guess, but like.
Well, yeah, but you also have to look at what that was worth back then, right? Like it's
true
to double that amount probably was still a pretty good win when movie tickets were 30 cents. It's that's still a pretty good accomplishment, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
So,
it's not like it
suppose
lost money.
nowadays it'd be like an extra 10 million or so.
Yeah, nowadays you look at 10 million and you go, meh. You know.
Rewatchability. Yeah, I'd watch this again.
Yeah.
If you're gonna rewatch it, I would say turn it off once they get to Mount Rushmore. But past that, yeah, like I think watchability wise, I think it holds up really well. I think this is easily a movie that you can relate to, even though we're 50 years past it. 50, 60 years past it actually at this point. So it's, I think I think it's got good rewatchability. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it is.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think there's
the fact that my 16-year-old can watch it.
I think that's
exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's got, like as Davan said, it's got really good modern pacing, so anybody from today could easily watch this film and be like, okay, I get with this. There's a couple of moments where maybe they might drag, they might look at their phone and lose a little interest, but you can get back into the story pretty quickly. And it was just a beautiful movie to watch, and
it was
really
visually
well casted.
stunning.
I was like, I don't know how, and I went into this, I was like, okay, no, this is a great film. This is honestly a great film. Even when I finished watching, I was like, did the ending ruin that for me? No, it didn't. No. There's too much good to outbalance that ending,
I was glad it ended though.
Yeah, like it definitely needed an ending. From my understanding, the concept was Hitchcock came up with the idea of just a random guy, random job, gets caught up in the spy industry. And...
I think it's based on a novel.
No, it's not. It's literally just Hitchcock and Lehman had come up with it. So basically what happened was Lehman was scripted to write a screenplay version of another film, which name escapes me at the time, but he ultimately couldn't do it because he just didn't find any inspiration. And Hitchcock's like, well, why don't you write a script for this instead? Here's an idea. A guy gets caught into the spy industry. He's looking after some microfilm, and there could be an ending chase scene on Mount Rushmore. So they're like, yeah, okay, so that's what Lehman came up with. He came up with this whole script, and the ending was marred a bit by the production value of them trying to build sets that were similar to. They originally wanted to go like waist down, but they couldn't do that, so they cheated it from the neck up for the mountain and the portraits and stuff like that. And they couldn't do any scenes where basically if there's any violence going on, they couldn't show Mount Rushmore in the background, so they cut around during the fight scene and stuff.
All that, yeah.
However, there is one scene in the film, if you go back and watch it, where she holds him up and shoots him. When she's shooting him, you can cut to it in the back right corner. You can see Mount Rushmore in the corner. So I mean, like there is that.
Damn the man.
Yeah, exactly. Like Hitchcock knew what he was doing when he said that. He's like, okay,
no doubt.
Let's see if you notice this. So yeah.
The big question. Question, fellas. Does it hold up? Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah, it holds up for me. Yeah, it's
we have ourselves
a unanimous hold up for this film.
An A movie. Excellent. I'm gonna add it to
I would
the
almost,
list right now.
you know what? I'd be so bold as to say A plus.
We haven't got into pluses yet.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but
we haven't got into that kind of.
Out of everything we've watched so far, it's definitely the highest rated A. I'll give that.
This is the best movie of the three movies that I've seen today. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that at the end.
Yeah, there you go.
We haven't added to the A list. North by Northwest. All right, so let's move along. So, Theater 2. We have Ronin from 1998, starring Robert De Niro, Jean Reno, Natasha McElhone, Stellan Skarsgård, and Sean Bean. Directed by John Frankenheimer, who I don't think I know from anything else, but maybe I do. I don't really pay too much attention to who directs things. Jody, this is your movie.
Okay, what does that mean?
Why Ronin? You have to give us the plot synopsis.
Oh, well, I didn't have anything prepared.
Oh, he
Google
didn't
it.
tell you.
No, no one told me that. But that's okay.
Okay.
You know what? I can pull up a plot synopsis really quickly here.
Yeah.
Just kind of
Something.
Well, I'm just gonna say,
well,
Jody, I thank you for coming on the show and bringing an actual good movie because I enjoyed the shit out of this movie. Actually, I quite liked this movie.
All right. So basically, Ronin is.
Well, before.
Go ahead.
Before you get into the plot synopsis, basically, we kind of the way we do this is we give a little like what we quick think, and then we'll throw the trailer, and then you can sort of run through the plot.
Oh, okay,
So,
sounds good.
Yeah. My quick thoughts on this film. I felt like I was watching a Grand Theft Auto mission, and I wish there was a different lead actor than Robert De Niro. Those are my quick thoughts on the movie.
I would have chosen a different lead as well, but he was fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you on that. Robert De Niro, I think, he was an obvious cast for the fact of who he was. Not necessarily the best person to play that part. And when you look at the cast is good. There's a lot of good players in here.
Sean Bean.
Jonathan Pryce, I absolutely adore.
Jonathan Pryce.
He is one of my favorite Bond villains, even though he was in one of the most terrible of the Bond movies. But I really enjoy him, and I think he does really well. The lead definitely could have been played by somebody else, but Jean Reno, obviously fantastic. I love him.
Me too. He's great.
Yeah, the thing that one of the reasons why I picked this movie was because I thought that you guys probably hadn't seen it, because it got overshadowed by a lot of other movies when this one came out. This one came out in '98, I believe.
98,
Yeah,
the
98.
same week that Rush Hour 2 came out, and it was
Yes.
apparently $26 million behind Rush Hour 2.
Oh, God, this
All
is
the
so
movie
much better
ended
than
as-
Rush Hour 2.
It's one of those movies.
I know, maybe.
Well,
Pick a Rush Hour movie. Those movies aren't going to hold up, I'll tell you.
yeah, but
I love Jackie Chan.
Yeah, but you have obviously Skarsgård, which is he's always good in movies that he's in. I think he's actually pretty weak in this movie compared to some of the other stuff he does. But yeah, I overall the reason why I picked the movie is because number one, I thought it was a movie that neither one of you probably have seen. I thought if anybody had seen it, it would probably be Murphy. But I'm pretty sure Davan wouldn't have seen this movie. So not that that's any slant to
There
you,
may have
Davan.
been a chance I would have seen it with my grandfather back in the day. I kind of remember the trailer in the poster more or less than anything.
The trailer
I don't
was played
really
on a
remember.
lot of movies. This was a
Yeah.
movie that was very well advertised.
Because they had De Niro.
Yeah, well, De Niro obviously, but think about De Niro, 1998.
Why they kept exactly
Heat
huge
around the same time. Heat was in 96, I think, or 95.
Casino around there.
Casino, he's massive.
I was told the fact that we're not covering Heat for a heist film is a sacrilege, but that's a conversation for another day.
Never seen Heat?
Heat is an amazing movie.
Yeah. Okay,
I've seen Heat. I love Heat. It's amazing.
Yeah, Heat's a good movie.
It's Anyway,
all right, hit the trailer.
Yeah, no, let's hit the trailer and we'll really get into the meat of this.
You ever kill anybody?
I hurt somebody's feelings once.
I love that line.
I never walk into a place I don't know how to walk out of.
That's the line that hooked me on this movie. Actually, then I was.
I know you.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
De Niro's actually pretty good in this role.
It's a small world.
He's good, but there's so many people that would be better.
Professional had a mission.
He was hired to lead a mission.
This is what we're after.
To recover a package.
We need to take it intact.
See, there's
several
pretty
methods
much no way
and
to make an interesting trailer out of this.
My kind of job.
That some are willing
I
to
think that
die
might have been it.
Relax, darling. Just a game. Could you take a picture of me and my wife? Get the background. Guy goes for the case. Other guy's protecting the principal. Oh, they're good.
And everyone is willing to kill for.
I want $100,000. I want it up front. I want another $100,000 when you get the case.
All good things come to those who wait.
Target is on the way.
We've gotten the word. We're moving.
Come on, let's go. You don't want to go in there. Get out of here. Walk away. Walk away. Let's go!
How did you know it was an ambush?
Walk
First thing
away.
they teach you. Who taught you?
I don't remember. That's the second thing they teach you.
We've made a good plan, and we're gonna stick with it.
What's this girl work for?
Are you afraid?
Of course I'm afraid. You think I'm reluctant because I'm happy? Who are our employers?
I'm not under any obligation to let you know.
If you are not, then the price has got to go up.
It's not gonna happen.
The girl sold us out. We're following the wrong people.
Man, they're giving you everything in this trailer. I like that too. The truck tips over, but then rights itself and keeps going. That was a pretty slick, practical.
Robert De Niro.
Like,
I won't hurt you.
GTA.
Ronin.
You worried about saving your own skin?
Yeah, I am. Covers my body.
Yeah, like that line too.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of good. He's got a lot of good stuff in there.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
Have a lot of good
Like
stuff.
it,
A couple things I just wanted to say before you get into the synopsis there, Jody. One, it's funny when you get to see their gang, and you're just immediately like, oh, one of these things is not like the other. Like it's a bunch of famous people, and then this other guy.
Yeah.
Who's the driver, but you're like, oh, it's just not going to work out well. For him,
Which
I can tell
spoilers
you.
wise, he actually lasts a good long time in the movie compared to some of the other people.
No, he didn't. He didn't
did.
outlast anyone on that crew. No, he didn't.
You're talking the driver?
Yeah.
Skip
lasted about
Larry.
Oh,
halfway through.
he outlasted Sean Bean on the team, but not Sean Bean didn't die.
Well,
Smoking Larry.
Yeah,
Smoking
Larry.
Yeah. All right. So
And,
let's
and
go with
also,
the synopsis, I guess. Oh,
the other thing I wanted to say was like, because you're about to do the synopsis, what I think was a good entry to this movie is the title and that whole Ronin explanation that they do, because that gives you like a perspective to view Robert De Niro's character from.
yes.
They don't tell you anything, but as long as you just think of him as this Ronin who, of course, used to work as a spy for the CIA, likely, but now is not. Because he's a Ronin.
This is what happens when all the spies are done.
Yeah.
You know, they start doing
how do they make
freelance-
money? Yeah.
Did you guys know that that a Ronin is a samurai that is disgraced and out on a path?
Yes,
they tell us
say
that
it.
information like 5 times throughout the movie.
Not only
in
that, they
different
have
ways.
miniatures.
Oh,
Yes,
they got miniatures. They talk about it in French.
I didn't like that scene when they talk about the 47 Ronin story. That, like, even the ending that he's like, "Do you know why? What they did after that? They killed themselves." I'm just
they slit themselves.
What?
Fun fact: that little story apparently inspired the film 47 Ronin, that was later made like in 2010
Comic book.
or whatever. With
which
Keanu.
was
Well, it was also a
basically
comic book, yeah.
47 Ronin.
Well, yeah, but yeah. Anyway, what the thing is. Anyway, so let's get into the plot synopsis of this.
Yeah, go for it, Jody.
So Deidre, which is played by Natasha, I can never remember how to say her last name.
McAloney? I think it's
McAloney,
McAloney.
Yeah, puts together a team of
McAloney?
experts that she's tasked with stealing a valuable briefcase, which the contents are a mystery. We actually never do find out anything about what's in it. The international team includes Sam, which is played by Robert De Niro. Which is
I like that though. That we
I
didn't find
do
out what
too.
was
Yeah,
in it.
it's very Pulp Fiction-y. Basically played by Robert De Niro, which is an ex-intelligence officer, along with Vincent, which is John Reno, Gregor, which is Stellan Skelhorn. He plays kind of like a computer ops kind of guy, and various others. As their operation gets
KGB.
under, yeah, they're from all different international teams and stuff like that, and obviously they're not working for them anymore.
All but one, let's just say. which comes
Well,
up
maybe somebody is, but I don't want to give away everything. But as their operation gets underway, several team members are found to be very untrustworthy, which is very true. And everyone must complete the mission with a watchful eye on everyone else. So basically, not only is it kind of like the one thing I like about the movie is the fact that it's a heist movie. It's also a spy thriller, and it's also essentially nobody trusts nobody kind of scenario where everybody
double crosses all over the place.
Oh, it's it. There's nothing but double crosses. They should have called this movie Double Crossing, because it would have been just as good.
De Niro's expecting it the whole time, the double crosses. Except
he's the only one that's actually super skeptical throughout the entire movie. He's like, everybody's an asshole.
Very aware of his surroundings.
Yeah, he's very aware of who he's working with and what could possibly go wrong. But
I love
overall,
when they get to that tunnel, he's just like, I'm not going.
Like, one of the first scenes is well, not the first scene, I guess, but probably a couple minutes in anyway. Is the scene here where they're about to meet up to basically pay off and get something in return, and essentially De Niro as well as I think Jean Reno was the two that didn't go, right? Because it was Sean Bean.
Yeah,
Reno goes with him.
Oh no, Reno does go with him. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just
but
like, look, I'm gonna go.
And De Niro's just like, we're gonna get killed if we go over there.
Yeah,
like, what are you guys doing? Like,
let's walk into a death chamber. Like that's what we're doing.
You get the impression that each one of these people have certain skill sets, but they also are very, very oblivious to certain things of the job. De Niro's character is very well versed in
all aspects,
all of this stuff, whereas Reno's kind of like that as well, but he's also kind of the tough guy.
But
where
Sean Bean's character is not at all.
Sean Bean's character is the weakest link at the beginning of the movie.
He's supposed to be the weapons guy. That's who he says.
Well, he's the weapons guy.
Secure him these weapons.
Yeah,
and he does know weapons because he opens up the trunk and like 2 seconds later he's like, it's not all here. Like he recognizes right away that it's
he knows what's there, what's not there, and what's missing.
But that's so sketchy because then they're like, no, it's in the next car that's gonna park mysteriously in this tunnel.
Yeah, and it's gonna park all the way down there, and it can't be driven up or anything. So you got to walk over there.
Don't bring it over here.
The thing with Sean Bean's character too is the other two, John Reno and De Niro, are just sitting there cool, and Sean Bean's character is sweating bullets, man.
Oh yeah, he's not comfortable,
and he's playing it well. Like he looks stressed out, man. He's a good actor, Sean.
Yeah. But one of the big reasons why I picked this was the number one. As I said, I didn't think either one of you guys would probably have seen it, and if you did see it, you definitely wouldn't remember it. That is probably one of its biggest flaws, is the fact that it's a movie that in 10 years you're not going to remember the plot and you're going to watch it again. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But I'm a big car guy, and I'm also a big practical effects with cars guy. And if you want a movie where you see nothing but a lot of cars getting damaged in practical ways, this is the movie for you. And that gets back to the analogy of this is like a Grand Theft Auto mission, because it kind of is. It really is. There's a lot of the makeup of that. Yeah.
I got on to that point, Jody. I'm not a car guy. So when there's a car chase scene in a movie, I usually just glaze over and I'm super bored. This is like the first car chase in a movie that didn't bore me to tears.
Oh,
this is a friggin' really good car chase.
Well, and not only that, but it's a practical car chase. Like you're not seeing like Fast and Furious type things where they're like
I don't want to see it
with no damage, and like these cars are getting mutilated as they're driving through, and they're hitting things, they're losing bumpers, they're like everything's going wrong with these cars, right? Like
there's even the point where he's just like
Paris.
The driver guy's going to hide sort of off the road. He goes just over that kind of like hill.
Yeah, he just lofts over.
He just goes, but he does it too fast, and you just hear the car.
And you can see the car like the front end hits, and like something falls off of it as he does it, and he's kind of
and that's before the mission. I'm like, you dummy, you could have just eased down.
It's really car crash porn. I think is the easiest way to explain this movie. There is other things, but
I liked it though.
The car crash porn is definitely good in this.
The car crashing was just all the vehicle stuff was very like top notch in the film.
Yeah, I think all the practical effects were really well done. Even like the gun shots and stuff like that, I thought were really well done. A lot of the double crossing you don't kind of see coming. Something's going to happen, but you don't know who's going to be the one that's going to initiate it.
It happens fast.
Only does it happen fast, but there's a time where there's like 3 double crosses within like 10 minutes. right?
Oh, yeah.
And
You
it's
can
like
get into
bang,
spoilers
bang, bang.
here on this podcast, Jody, if you want to get into like a bit more detail.
Oh yeah, we spoil the crap out of everything.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know really where to start. Now, I will say that the last time I watched this, which was yesterday, it was night and I was very late, so I might gloss over things that maybe you guys might be interested in, so feel free to jump in. But basically, Oh, sorry.
Well, did we get to that point yet? Where the Stellan Skarsgård first double crosses him.
He's really the main double crosser to begin with. Yeah,
But it just happens so fast in the way he does it. That's why you don't see it coming. Like he does.
Yeah.
His job is he's supposed to come out and get the case
Yep.
and secure it.
Yeah,
But
and what he does is
he has a second one with him. Yeah,
he does
and
the
he
old
has this
swapper, right? Yeah, where he
Yeah,
mails
but
the other one
it's
to
like-
himself. Yeah.
And it's handcuffed to the original guy, but he has this device that just pops the handcuff off and everything. Yeah, and he puts the case in a black bag and gives De Niro the other case. It's so slick. It happens so fast. I
Well-
didn't even realize what happened until De Niro says it.
And I absolutely love the explanation on what the case is made out of, because that to me really brings the entire movie together, and it really gets our third act going, which I guess we should probably get into that until we get to that point. But basically, yeah, Skarsgård is the first person who really does do something bad to the point where basically they're going to stop this convoy. They're going to grab this bag or this case, I guess it is. We don't know what's in it. Like, it could be anything. It could be like, the button to the nuclear warheads. It could be, private pictures of Obama. We don't know. All right. Which obviously in 98 wouldn't have been a big deal anyway, but who knows? But either way, everybody wants this damn thing.
The reason I like that we don't get to see that, though, is I think that's the point. It's just like because these 4 people or 5 people, whatever, they bring chaos upon France and stuff, man.
Like, like Paris is basically under attack by this group. Yeah,
it's insane, and that's why it's insane how there's like no cops around. There should be cops on every square inch of Paris after the first day they were there, basically.
Yeah,
and they're not.
But they're all over the place. And they're also not in one area. Like they were in Paris for one day, and then they're in Nice the next day and stuff like that. So it does travel, and I get that. But
there should be more cops
it's
everywhere.
A tour of France.
It really is a
criminal tour of France.
It really is.
There's just gunfights everywhere and explosions, and the authorities just blame it on the Sinn Féin, and they're just like, yeah, it's just the bloody Irish.
And if you think about it, every single one of these characters are played by people that have been in spy movies. Like, these are all spy-like movies. I'm not familiar with Natasha's, areas, but my understanding
she was in the Truman Show.
I know she was in the Truman Show, yeah, but that's not really a spy movie. Well, I guess in a way it kind of is.
Californication.
But like, for instance, 1998, when you think about it, even Sean Bean was the bad guy in Goldeneye. Like, that was only a couple years.
Surprisingly, one of the few movies where Sean Bean doesn't die, which is just like
very odd.
Really?
Yep, very odd to begin with.
Very odd. I was
it's
expecting
the perfect
that
movie to
happen.
kill him.
But also, he's got top billing, and he's out in like probably the first maybe 15 minutes.
30, yeah.
I'm going to talk about that scene a bit later.
Yeah,
because I really like that scene.
Yeah, but, I'm not very prepared, guys, quite honestly, because I didn't know this was what I had to do to bring to the table.
Oh, no.
So feel free to take over. It's not a problem. But
we're moving along there. There's double crosses left and right.
Oh, there is.
They find out that she is a double cross as well, because she is Sinn Féin.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things where the only person who really knows what the hell is going on and he's really kind of keeping in line is actually De Niro's character. He knows the entire time. He knows there's going to be shit's going to go down. There's going to be somebody's going to double cross them. He's always looking at everybody. The only person he ends up really trusting through most of the movie is Jean Reno's character.
Yeah.
Which we see at the end. They kind of are friends really at the end of the movie, or at least implied anyway. But it's just, there's so many crazy little scenes in this movie that I find are just fun. Like, it's like, if you're going in for a very intellectual movie, I don't think this is it. This isn't an intellectual movie. There are some pretty smart scenes in it, but I think overall this is just one of those movies where if you're into kind of spy thrillers and car porn, this is it. This
And,
is
well, the dialogue's strong and the performances are strong.
yeah, I agree with that.
And I like the setting of.
There are
story.
some
I like
dialogue
kind of-
that could be a little weak,
I mean,
especially the bad guys.
I feel like Jonathan Pryce and Natasha McElhorn kind of put on the roughest Irish accents I've ever heard.
Oh,
I was
absolutely.
like, oh.
Yeah. Well,
Wasn't
I think
strong.
I think Natasha's actually is real.
She's British. She's not Irish.
Oh, is she British? Oh, okay. I thought she
Yeah.
was Irish. But obviously, Jonathan Pryce's accent is terribly wrong. But if you can kind of get past that, I do like his character. I like some of the parts of the plot that he's in. I think
that whole scene there, with the ice.
Oh,
rink
the scene with the ice
crazy.
rink and all that. Yeah, it's just he's brutal. He's so brutal in this movie, and again, this is a guy who played a Bond villain, and this might have been the reason why they got him to play a Bond villain, right? Well, when did Tomorrow Never Dies and come out? That was
after 1998.
Actually, I think it would have been around the same time, if I'm not mistaken, because it was a couple years after GoldenEye. 97. So there you go. He played it just before he did this one. So there you go. But
he was the hot commodity for a spy.
Well, he was the bad guy anyway. He was the typical bad guy to bring in, the smart but interesting bad guy, I guess. But I think Skarsgård probably has the most kind of bland performance out of everybody, but he's
See, really, I thought he had like one of the more solid performances. I kind of liked how menacing he was. He was honestly the one.
He's this quiet, reserved character. Yeah.
He is a very quiet, reserved character. Yeah, so maybe that's part of the reason why I thought he was kind of a little held back. I think, but because we've seen some very interesting things with him. But he's very muted in this movie, I think. Until near the ends of him anyway, which spoilers. But yeah.
Well, there was like the hint of his character here with like the coffee cup scene, which kind of like played in a couple times.
Yes.
Nice reflexes.
I didn't catch on this, but that was basically Robert De Niro like testing the people around him. He tests him with the coffee cup scene, and then later, he basically Sean ambushes the coffee with Coffee Bean, to basically.
But like the line there too,
reacts, right?
where he's just like nice reflexes. He goes, "Yeah, old habits die hard."
Yeah.
Like,
this is one of those movies, and I know it's kind of a fun thing for people to say about movies, but this really is a movie that when you watch it twice, you get a lot more out of it. You see a lot of the subtleties.
Those are usually my favorite movies.
Yeah, you do see a lot of subtleties that you don't see on the first playback, where especially when it comes to De Niro's character. De Niro's character is testing everybody throughout the entire movie. He's always observing things. He's observing what they're doing. There's a scene with him and Reno, and it's right before they grab the case and they do that ambush. You can actually see him watching him, and he's watching where he's standing. And the reason why he's doing that is he wants to know whether or not he's going to run, right? So it's a subtle thing, but when you look at it, you kind of notice that he's really paying attention to Reno, because Reno is essentially the guy on the other side of him on that trail. So he's the guy he has to really rely on, and he has to rely on him as well. So he's kind of watching him, and instead of watching the actual mark, which is the convoy of cars that are coming, he's actually watching him half the time, which is something that you wouldn't normally notice, but he really is portraying the fact that he does not trust any of these people that he's working with. Like
he plays this character very well. Like,
he does, but I also agree with the fact that another lead would be better. I think
someone less well known, someone you could get into the character a little more.
Well, I think this could have been a movie that could have made somebody, right? Like this could have been you could have got an unknown actor and make them into a star in this movie, just by
exactly. I could have easily watched like Chris Pine or even like Chris Evans in a role like this, and it would have made it so much more. Like I kind of foresaw it like it was very Nick. It was like a Nick Fury film almost in a sense. Like if Robert De Niro was Nick Fury and John Reno was basically the professional, if they tried to frame it like that, that could have made this like a lot more enticing. And I felt
Here's who they should have cast: David Hasselhoff. David Hasselhoff.
I don't think that would have
been
been
role.
I don't think that would have been. You know,
no.
Cary Grant.
You kidding me?
Cary Grant.
Cary Grant would have played the shit out of it. Freaking right.
He would have with a cane. Like how old was Cary Grant at the time? I mean, oh jeez.
No, he was probably dead at the time.
Yeah, I'm kidding, but
ironically, I was thinking like a Jean-Claude Van Damme or something, you know, because he was kind of in his prime at the time.
You need an actor.
You need an actor, not an action star.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
You know, no way you would have Robert De Niro and Jean-Claude Van Damme up for the same role.
It sounds really bad, but work with me here for a second. What if this was Val Kilmer? Think about that for a second. Did you ever see The Saint? Ever see The Saint? Yeah. Val Kilmer did a really good job. I thought he did a pretty good job. So Val Kilmer in the lead on this?
I don't think he would get the subtleties.
I don't think
the way De Niro does. De Niro goes all in on his characters.
He does. He does. Even if they're not.
That's why he's one of the best.
He'll still do it. Yeah. But the Jean Reno character, he plays the professional in another movie. That's basically the way I felt it. But I'm okay with that because that's what makes Reno good. I like Reno as the tough, gritty guy. I think he does it well. I think I like the chemistry between these two. I think they did really well. I don't like the chemistry between him and the girl.
You know, I almost checked out of this movie when they forced them
well, they're doing surveillance, right? Yeah.
Like in the
Snap
car
away.
with out and stuff, and like her.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like,
but look at De Niro. De Niro is
this. That was the worst.
That was brutal.
Okay, but no. Look, he's just grinning. From
he's right in the
character.
character.
Playing it stone cold.
He's right into the character, and she's like, "I don't want to be there."
This was a moment for me. I'm just like, what the fuck is this about? It's like, oh, we're just making out now. That's what this is. It's like, oh, they're hiding from the cops, but then it turns into like she's just like full on. Was like, yeah, let's do this. It was very out of like not necessary.
This scene definitely didn't need to be this. For sure.
It screamed
it did not.
As only being put in there because Hollywood needs to have some sort of
they need to have something for the trailer.
Romance.
Yeah.
Like,
or De Niro was just like, I need to be kissing a leading lady in this film. Like, you know, it could be something silly like that.
That part sucked. I'm glad it didn't go anywhere. If she had showed up because she loves him in the cafe at the end, I would have hated this movie.
I'm actually totally okay with the fact that they didn't do that. I actually think it would be. I think the fact that De Niro's character comes off as being kind of a lone gunman kind of guy. Like he's a guy that really doesn't want to work with people, but he's kind of forced to. You know, so I think
walk away.
Like, even though I agree with you guys, I don't think Robert De Niro might have been the best pick for the lead on this. I still think he didn't phone it in. I still think it was a good
serviceable. You know what? Actually, who would have been really good for this role at the time? Patrick Stewart. Put Patrick Stewart in this role. I think he would have fucking killed it.
Well, Patrick Stewart, I'm never going to disagree.
Well, yeah, I'm willing to watch Patrick Stewart in anything. But it's I don't know if I would go that far. John Voight.
I would have been playing a different character in this movie.
John Voight,
like Patrick Stewart would have been good in Price's role, but Price was good too.
Actually, yeah, Patrick Stewart would have been great as one of the bad guys. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The thing I like about Jonathan Pryce's character through the movie is you don't get a lot of explanation on him. He just kind of shows up, causes some chaos, and then he takes off again. And he's gone for a little while, and then he comes back again.
He's a known Irish
he takes care of Larry, the driver here.
Yeah,
yeah, he's supposed to be like Seamus
Larry
or right. Some.
Yeah, he's Seamus.
Poor Larry. Yeah. So apparently, Skip Sudith was he asked to like do a lot of his own stunt driving in some of his scenes.
Oh, really?
And I was just I was like, who is this guy? Like, what's he been in?
I'm not familiar with his catalog.
A handful of TV shows.
He was the obvious guy who was gonna die in that crew.
Oh yeah, like when you see all these guys in the room, you're like, well, that guy's dead.
These things is not like the other.
And Sean Bean, I thought was going to die too, and it turns out he didn't. So
he just walks away from it all. It's just like really,
but he's like, I'm not going to be part of this. I'm done. Well,
I expected 2 out of the 5 of these men to die, and only one did, and the other just walked away.
yeah.
So I think we can kind of yada to the end scene here, basically, which is at the ice skating rink, and it's funny because there's this not giant, but super long scene of just they got Katarina Witt, an actual figure skater, to just do her routine basically, and it lasts for like a good couple of minutes.
But the reason why we're actually here is actually because they denote that the case had to been for skates, which I thought was interesting. It's an ice skate case that's been modified.
But what I like about how long they stay on her routine, though, is then eventually they just zoom out, and
when you pay for this, you're going to have to get
following her
out of
the whole
it, right?
time. I thought that was interesting.
But yeah, I love the fact that when they pan out, you see there's a sniper on her. Like they're going to take her out. And the whole time I'm thinking, they're not going to take her out. It's going to be one of those things
that to Katarina Witt.
It's going to bound off. But no, they kill her. She did.
Because Gruger tries to bluff the Russians, and what you don't do is you don't play roulette with a Russian, man.
You never play roulette with a Russian.
And he loved that figure skater. But in the end, he's just like, meh, I love the case more.
That's a great move.
Oh,
look at that. Yeah, well, you can't have great makeup all the time, I guess. But
that bullet hole.
It's very obvious, but either way, pretty cool.
What I like about this scene too is he is in an impossible situation, which they discussed a little earlier in the movie. It's like he has to find a way to not get killed by the person he's selling the case to, because it's easier to just kill him and keep your money. So it's just like he has to come up with this crazy
figure out
scenario.
how he's going to do it. Yeah. So he
his way is
in that
to,
part. Yeah.
Because he got the fake cash earlier. They tried to fake him out earlier.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
so he has to use the figure skater in the Russians' affection for her as like leverage, but it's not enough.
No.
Not nearly enough.
Well, and that's
kind of the only play he had. Really.
That's really the running theme of this movie, is that the bad guys are obviously better than the good guys in most of the scenarios. Like it's almost like, obviously De Niro's character, he clues into what's going on and he tries to avoid things as much as he can, but like a lot of these things play out regardless of what he thinks, right? Which is great, I think, because a lot of times you get like the main lead, thwarts the issue just before the figure skater gets killed. Nope, not in this movie. This movie, people die. That's just what happens.
As crazy as it is, this movie feels real and grounded. Like more real and grounded than it should, which is why I liked it. It's the opposite of the next movie we're about to discuss.
Yeah.
I
don't think we need to. The problem is that a lot of this movie, there's not a ton of substance. I will grant it that it's not a very deep dive. It's one of those movies that you can watch while browsing your phone, if you want to. Is it stellar material? No, I don't think it is. But is it entertaining? I think it's an entertaining movie, and I think the story is decently done. I don't think it's anything groundbreaking by any stretch of the imagination. We've seen this before in cinema. This scene is brutal. This scene is absolutely brutal.
This scene was the most like macho, goofy scene for me, just because he's just like,
it's goofy, but it also goes back to his character, though. His character is all about doing things for himself. He doesn't rely on anybody else, and in this scenario, he has to rely on somebody. So he's still going to monitor it as much as he can, right? But I do like right after they pull out the bullet, he's like, so now I'm going to pass out. And then he literally passes out. He holds on enough.
Very Mary Sue in a sense. Like he could just like kind of do everything, and it's like, I need to see you fail. The only reasons he would fail is by happenstance or somebody else's. Like he knocks the.
It's like Jody said. Like he fails a lot. And things do happen despite his intervention.
Yeah, he tries, and even though he intervenes,
I wouldn't say he is a Mary Sue.
Like for instance, there's that massive car chase. There's the massive car chase where the car
Yeah.
ends up going off of the like undone ramp, like the ramp that's not finished yet. And then you see De Niro and I think it's Reno are shooting down at the car that has the girl in it.
Yes.
And it's on fire.
That was one of my favorite
And De
scenes,
Niro is like, he's rightfully pissed off because he's like, I can't get down there to deal with this. Like, what am I going to do? Jump down and die? Like, I'm going to break a leg, right? Like, I'm done. Like, there's nothing. That's a failure.
I like that whole scene. I like that whole scene and how it was played out. How there was like the team of guys and they pulled him out before the fire like took over, and there was like they landed on sand and it was very practical and like it was very real. And
the thing I also like is cars don't magically blow up in this movie either.
Just that one.
No, they get wrecked.
Just the one. Yeah, they just get wrecked.
I mean,
and actually, you mentioned the truck
though.
earlier. The truck
lit on
earlier, I
fire.
think, is a perfect example of the effects in this movie because I don't think they actually wanted that truck to go back upright, but that was the shot they got.
And it looked cool.
Yeah, it literally
righted
goes on
itself
its
and kept
side,
going.
slides across the car, and then kind of rights itself back up again because just the inertia, right? Yeah, it's really weird, but it's
a really good stunt drivers.
It looks
oh,
neat.
No, I can
It
do
looks
it.
really cool,
I can
though.
do it, man.
Yeah.
But yet he added to the end. Robert De Niro and John Reno win. They get the case.
Yeah. So
yeah,
sorry, I'm just putting some here. There we go.
Yeah.
Even though it's your show, I still have admin rights to it. But Jonathan Pryce's character, I really enjoyed. I liked for the little time we saw him. We didn't see him through a lot of the movie. Like a lot of it doesn't really have him in it. I would say maybe he had 15 minutes of screen time the entire movie. Maybe 20.
Yeah, probably not even. I don't even
but I do like his demise. I like all the stuff leading up to him and how he interacts with everybody else. I think it's a good part for him, and I like when he plays a villain. I don't like it when he plays a nice person. He plays a villain much better, in my opinion.
Which scene would you hold up, Jody?
Honestly, I'm okay with almost everything in the movie. I think all the practical car scenes I think are fantastic. I think they still hold up to this day. You know, obviously the cars that are in it are old now, but you know, just the way that they did. I liked how they didn't overdo the car scenes. Like we didn't have these spectacular, you know, huge crashes with huge massive explosions. We had cars that were flipping and once in a while they would upright and stuff like that. Like
three chases. Like 3 car chases in total in the whole movie.
3 chases, yeah. One of which is actually a fairly long one. It's like probably
long.
it's probably about 6-7 minutes total. The one that ends with the ramp
but
is probably
feels
the longest
grounded.
one.
You know,
It does feel very grounded. Yeah,
there's nothing more unpalatable to me than a Fast and the Furious movie.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love Fast and Furious movies, but I like them for a completely different reason. I look at them as a farce. They're a parody of what would normally happen, right? So if I'm in the mood for that, I'm okay with that. This is I like the effects of this one because this is more practical. The crashes and the chases that you see in this movie are something you could potentially see on the 401 during rush hour. Okay, like this is totally possible.
401,
if you drive in Brampton, you would definitely know that this is very possible to happen.
Yeah,
right. Like a lot of this stuff. But just overall, yeah, I think a lot of the scenes hold up. I think if I had to say what didn't hold up, the arena area I think was a little weak. I thought there would be way more reaction going on. There would be mass panic going on. Well, this arena as well.
Like people got shot and stuff. Like
tons of bystanders get killed.
Tons of bystanders do get killed in this movie.
And there's no cops anywhere. Like that's the craziest thing about this movie. Like,
the cops do show up, but they always show up late, right? Like they're super late. But like,
the only time the cops show up is in that tunnel
right here.
Where they like the cop car chases them for 30 seconds and then not even like 10 seconds.
Yeah, and then they're like,
over.
we give up.
Like, they flipped over.
But overall, I think I think most of the movie holds up. I don't like the scene with the surgery. I think it's a little overdone. I understand why they put it in, but on the other hand, I don't think it really holds up well. It looks pretty fake for me anyway. And there's one angle where you see it, and it almost looked like they've added like an extra like 10 pounds to one side of De Niro's body, which I think is just part of the prosthetic. But obviously they had to do it, but they can't really cut into him. Obviously, he's not that much of a method actor, I don't think. But it's but overall, I think for the most part, I think most of the scenes hold up. If I had to actually pick, I would say the car chases are by far the stars of the show in this movie. But
see, would you hold up, Murphy?
So for me, this movie was very pulled me in, pulled me out. This is cool. This is kind of dumb. This is cool. This is kind of dumb, and it was hard to stay with it. But one of the scenes that actually pulled me in, and this is why I'm very surprised that you think Stellan Skarsgård as Gregor wasn't anything, because this scene for me, I've decided to call it Kids with Guns. This scene just shows the menacingness that he is.
Oh yeah, this was crazy.
This is so crazy, dude.
Yeah, okay.
It was hard for me to watch, actually. As the father of a young child.
I can only imagine, right?
The only thing that bothers me about this scene is the guy that he's with, which I can't remember his name. But the guy that he's with, I don't think reacts with enough fear. Like this guy's about to shoot kids.
No, because he knows he has a secret gun too. He thinks he's got Stellan Skarsgård by the balls here.
Yeah.
With his secret gun.
Just imagine what I'll do to you if you try anything. Now give me my money.
That's his lines. I would do that to a little girl I don't know, and I don't particularly like
man.
it. Imagine what
your mic is just going.
Your mic is going nuts, Murphy.
Yeah.
Not good.
It's like da da da.
Yeah, you get some bad static.
Put down the gun.
Put down the gun.
Down the gun.
Yeah, Murphy, your mic is no good, man.
Yeah, something's wrong with it.
Where did that come from? I should make you slip.
Now where's my package?
It's right behind you.
Oh, that's a brutal kill, though. And then it just goes right over to that scene. It's like you go from some guy getting shot in the head.
Oh, geez, Murphy. No,
yeah,
you're gonna have to reset your mic or something. I'll talk about my the scene I would hold up.
All right.
Well, fire mine.
I don't know if he actually has my scene queued or not, because I did actually pick a scene.
Oh no, he didn't.
I don't think it's
fine. Oh, geez, no, you get out of here with that mic there.
Okay.
This is my favorite.
Here? Shooters here.
This goes back to the whole
Tell you no trick.
De Niro testing everybody, though.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
What's your problem?
Because something just wasn't adding up with Sean Bean, and it's just I'm glad they did
You're the
this.
HCL man. Draw it again. It's a simple diagram. Just draw it again. Draw what you saw. Draw it again. Draw it again. Two shooters. Car comes through here. Shooters across from each other. Kill each other dead. Oh my, where'd you learn that? Huh? In a regiment. What regiment was that? The 22nd Special Air Service. What's the color of the boathouse at Hereford? What's the color of the boathouse at Hereford? I don't like your attitude. The color of the boathouse. Oh, fuck off! You got the gun. I'm unarmed. Do something. Go ahead, do something.
He's just like, you're so bad at this, you won't even, you're afraid of me and you're so bad.
Well, one thing I do like about that is, if you notice the reaction from the other people, some of them jumped up and some of them just sat there.
Yeah, which he's probably
really
viewing that as well.
You get your money when we get the kiss.
The others too.
That is what I understood. Come on, we've gotten the word. We're moving.
Hopefully Murphy's mic is working now.
So they ambushed
that's
Sean
better.
Bean with
now,
coffee. Okay, good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah. Do you have my clip at all?
No, I've got.
What scene did you pick,
some
Jody?
audios.
Oh, the car chase.
Oh no,
I thought
actually,
that was a scene you picked.
Oh no.
No, I did pick one. It was the I'm just trying to remember the actual scenario now. Hold on, let me just. It was basically where he's like mocking him. De Niro's mocking. Who is it? He's mocking one of them, and he's like, "It's amateur hour."
That's when he wants more money.
Yeah.
Is when he
Yes.
says it's amateur hour.
Which is like
Because
basically
he
just
wants-
before
that was
that
the
scene
scene.
there. Yeah.
He wants to know what's in the case. He's like, is it explosive?
Yes,
Is it
that's
like
it. That's the scene. Yeah.
anything like that? She's like, I don't know, and I can't tell. Well, she's like, I can't tell you. He's just like, well, if it's gonna be amateur hour bullshit instead of the 20,000,
Yeah, now it's 100,000.
I want 100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which actually is the scene just before you played this clip, basically.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the
okay,
movie.
So I admittedly.
Oh,
didn't
there goes your
really
mic
Mic's
again.
going again.
Oh, fuck's sake.
You gotta stop being a cool kid and get a better computer.
Yeah,
At least that's what Jaemeel says.
I agree. Mac
Feels like it's his Mac. That's the problem.
They're the anti-computer. They're not even computers.
I have a Mac. It's fine.
All right. Well, let's
anyway,
move on from this.
so
Which performance would we hold up
Yeah, yours is good right now. Yeah.
for the next few seconds?
Oh.
I couldn't honestly tell you any of the performances. Like I was so like dried out by Robert De Niro, and I don't even know.
Jonathan Price's, I think, is about the only one that
Yeah,
I would
Jonathan Pryce
I
is
would
pretty
recommend.
good,
Yeah. The rest of them
I
are
like
pretty.
John Reno fine.
Yeah, but John Reno's playing John Reno.
It's true.
Like it's every literally give him a sniper rifle and it's now The Professional.
Honestly, the performance for me, it was short. It was
Stellan
Sean Bean.
Yeah,
Sean Bean
Stellan
just
Skarsgård.
played that character he was playing really well. He seemed stressed out.
But he
was
still
sweating
played
bullets.
nervous Sean Bean. Like it's we.
There's a lot of typecasting in this movie.
Yeah, I would say if I had to pick one, I would pick Jonathan Pryce, but I can also understand why you'd want to pick Stellan as well. That one scene there is definitely very menacing.
Oh yeah, he was menacing.
Like if he's willing to do that in the broad daylight in front of a school and just straight murder a guy in his car and somehow still get away where nobody's like, what was that? Noise?
Nobody's like, what was that
What
noise?
was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's all that red stuff all over the window? And actually, you see him later, and he's driving the same car, and like the window's fine. So he obviously had time to clean it.
Well, he must have called the guy in Pulp Fiction to like.
Oh, maybe the cleaner. Yeah.
Called the.
Yeah. The only thing I think that was good about Robert De Niro in this movie was the fact of the little quips that he says, like the little kind of sarcastic comments that he says. I think were well delivered, but overall, I don't think anybody is phenomenal in this movie. But there are some decent performances for sure.
The setting aesthetic, it's a bit gray. Like it's
very gray.
It's nothing to look at.
Muted. And that was an intentional design. They even told like background actors not to wear anything bright and colorful, and they had to wear like pastels and stickers.
Because it's the gray area.
It's a gritty movie. Yeah.
It's the gray area.
Like even
One
the
thing I do
cars,
like about
even the cars are boring in this movie, but
yeah,
the crashing
Cars are
of them
always
is
boring.
pretty fun.
I like the examination on the difficulties. Your
Harvey
mic's
Cartel, yeah, there you go. That would be a good pick.
going out again.
Yeah, your mic is going a little weird again.
Yeah, Harvey Cartel is a good pick. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so it's like an examination of the difficulty of trying to do something like this, like to sell somebody who would just rather kill you and things like that, like trying to solve this impossible situation, criminal as it may be.
Yeah,
It's
you're
still an interesting
screwed either way you
examination.
go on this scenario. There's no good answer on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there is a little bit more intelligence here. I think this is a pretty good movie. Setting aesthetic, yeah, like I say, just great.
Yeah,
And if it's
do I think
intentional, fine, but it's like
I don't
all
think
on
this
the
movie
eye.
deserves any awards or anything, but I think it's
No.
I think it does exactly what it set out to do, which is make a kind of heist / gritty kind of heist movie in a way, where there's a lot of double crossing, and I think it does that well, and it's entertaining. So, and that's what I watch a movie for. So, I'm okay with it.
It is entertaining. I definitely feel like it's more of a heist movie than entirely a spy movie. It was like a heist IRA.
Well, one of the reasons why I picked this was because you guys told me spy movies, and I thought to myself, well, it'd be kind of cool to have movies with ex-spies in it, because all these guys are they have spy qualities to them, but they're not actively spies now. Like these are all people that are hired guns now, right?
I think we nailed it with these
the
picks.
broad spectrum.
Yeah. Oh, I think all three of these are solid picks for being spy.
Different aspects of it.
Yeah,
different aspects of it.
Like it certainly wasn't the first one I wanted to pick, but you know, it's.
Oh yeah. He wanted to go a little more obvious spy in the beginning.
I did, yes.
Murphy didn't like that.
No. But that's okay.
All right, Murphy. See if your mic holds together long enough.
All right, we got movie morsels for Ronin 1998. 300 stunt drivers were employed to give the final chase scene that required a amount of metal crunching realism. A total of 80 automobiles were destroyed during the filming, and this movie has a body count of 34 people.
Yeah, mostly bystanders, like people just getting shot.
People just randomly walking by and getting shot. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like GTA, man. I'm telling you. To make it look like Robert De Niro and Natasha McClellan.
Oh, there goes your mic again.
Don't tell me that. Is it still
It's
popping
true.
off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
there
it
goes.
just keeps dropping.
No good. No, it's just staticky and sounds horrible.
It's staticky and sounds horrible. Maybe
Yeah.
I need to turn my gain down. Is that better?
No.
No.
Sounds like you have a loose cord or something. Something like that. But anyway, we'll come back to the morsels while Murphy figures out his stuff.
All right.
Rewatchability.
Oh no.
That's good right now, so let's just run with it.
Go for it. Rattle them off real quick, Murphy.
Yeah, to make it look like Robert De Niro and Natasha McClellan were actually driving during the car chases, right-hand drive cars were used with the passenger side made to mirror the real controls. The cast members
Oh, that's smart.
The stunt driver's movements. Skip Sudith, Larry, requested to do his own stunt driving during the car chases, and John Frankenheimer agreed. Frankenheimer told Sudith, "I don't want to see any brake lights." The script originally called for Sam chasing Gregor in the arena to stop at the railing. However, while shooting the scene, the stuntman accidentally toppled over the railing, falling hard on the stone surface below. Director John Frankenheimer decided to leave that accident in the film, which was one of the stunts I was like, oh, that looked like it hurt when they like.
Yeah, I remember seeing that and thinking, wow.
You're super quiet now, Murphy, but at least you're not staticky.
We can hear you though.
Three actors of this movie have played the three actors of this movie have played the antagonist in three separate James Bond movies. Sean Bean in GoldenEye in 1995, Michael Lonsdale in Moonraker in 1979, and Jonathan Pryce in
Moonraker
1997. As well as being successful Bond villains to Pierce Brosnan's 007, Sean Bean and Jonathan Pryce both starred in Game of Thrones. This is my favorite movie morsel that I found out. Ron Jeremy flew to Paris to film a small part in the film that was eventually cut by the studio.
Aw.
Ron Jeremy's a piece of shit.
Well, he still has his Ghostbusters cameo, so I guess he's okay there.
Yeah. Robert De Niro opens the film. Okay, this is what I found one of the ridiculous things in this film is Robert De Niro's guns progressively got bigger in each encounter with him as a weapon. So Robert De Niro opens the film stashing a Colt 1911, which he later uses at the bridge ambush, as well as a SIG P228 9mm for his later carry handgun. He uses an HK-69A1 Granta pistol 4mm grenade launcher to disable the lead car. Then
There goes your mic again.
SIG 551.
Yeah. Suffice it to say, we don't need to know the names of the guns. There were bigger and bigger guns.
Bigger and bigger and bigger.
By the time he got to the bazooka, I was just like, okay, well, they're definitely gonna beat these guys. Like it's like they're just like guys driving in cars.
At this point, your dick is bigger than the other one. Yeah.
Yeah,
An
seriously.
M249 at one point, and I'm just like, okay, that's just game over at that point.
That's a
Some
big gun.
radio news, including BBC and CNN, report about the end of the hostilities between Great Britain and Northern Ireland after decades of bloody fight caused by the IRA, which used terrorist tactics as protests for the British invasion of Irish grounds. Since that, it addressed the real-life IRA ceasefire happened on July 19th in 1997. This movie was filmed from November 3rd, 97 to March 3rd, 98. For ending, with the conflict started during in 1969, Northern Ireland's riots and the radio news add that a strong reason for the ceasefire is the capture and killing of Seamus O'Rourke, which had been reported by IRA staff as a descendant. It turns all the movie into a fictional secret operation to assure the end of the IRA's conflict. It's confirmed by Sam's revelation to Deidre at around 1 hour and 51 minutes that he's still a CIA agent and he's not there for the silver briefcase, but he's there for Seamus O'Rourke, implying too that the briefcase contents would avoid IRA ceasefire. The original ending, and this is something that you touched upon earlier, Davan, the original ending had Deidre outside the cafe where Sam and Vincent are, thinking about whether she should enter or not before deciding against it. And as she walks to her car, she's taken by the IRA, who she has betrayed and who will presumably kill her. In his commentary on the DVD, John Frankenheimer claims that the previous audiences disliked the ending, saying that they did not want to see Deidre die. A second ending was filmed where Deidre walked away after Sam walked out of the cafe. According to Frankenheimer, this ending was also disliked by the preview audience, who thought it was the setup to a sequel and described it as too Hollywood. Frankenheimer agreed with this as well. While Frankenheimer liked the original ending, he conceded that within the investment MGM UA had made in the film, they had to listen to the audience, and so the final ending where Deidre does not appear and her fate is left up in the air was used. The original ending is included on the special edition DVD. Ronin fared moderately well at the box office. It was second highest grossing film in the United States during its opening weekend, grossing $16.7 million behind Rush Hour. And $26.7 million in total.
All right.
Was with
there goes your mic again, Murphy. There goes your mic again.
I was almost done too.
Suffice to say, it made money.
How's it now? So almost done. Ronin was 1998's 11th highest grossing R-rated film. And yeah. Cinematography, Robert Frace, edited Tony Gibbs, music by Ella Cimero, distributed by MGM Distribution, released in September 25th, 1999 at 121 minutes. $55 million was the budget, and the box office made $70.7 million for Ronin.
Turned a profit, but not much.
Not much, just barely.
Yeah.
All right. Rewatchability, fellas. Would you watch this one again?
I wouldn't watch it every year. But once every 10 years maybe. So
okay.
I think it is rewatchable. It definitely is one of those movies that you should watch at least twice, because you do see a lot of the subtleties that you missed in the first viewing. So it's one of those 2 watches to begin with thing. But
might take you up on that as far as watching it a second time.
When you watch it the second time, be very aware of what Sam is doing, because almost every scene Sam is either eyeing somebody or he's paying attention to somebody that's going doing something. And he's doing that. It's almost like he's always doing some sort of market research, so it's one of those movies that, it's kind of like watching Pulp Fiction, right? You watch it the second time, you notice a lot of stuff you didn't see the first time around. So Reservoir Dogs,
does it hold up?
Same idea.
What about you, Murphy? Would you rewatch it? Let's pick up the pace, though, fellas. It's getting real late where I'm at.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I'd rewatch this one. It wasn't totally grasping me. I think, again, if it had a different lead, I might be a little more behind it. But ultimately, yeah, I could leave it behind. I don't know if I'd rewatch it again.
All right. For me, it doesn't really have a lot of rewatchability. I'll watch it the second time just to see if there's anything there, but for me, it's not a big rewatchable. But does it hold up? I think it does. Not for rewatchability, but it's for just a good movie experience that holds up to this day. Yeah. I thought it was interesting.
Can you watch it 20 years later and still enjoy it? Yes, I think you can.
Yeah,
I would say it holds up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the older it gets, it's not gonna be as well. Like the best parts of the movie are the car chase scenes, but those are few and far between, and the acting is very noticeably bland. So I don't think it's gonna hold up for me.
I think a B movie is a good spot for this one, probably. So that makes
I would agree.
sense. Murphy, you're gonna hate this, but your mic's doing this again. We can't do this on and off mic thing all night. I'm gonna do the synopsis on Atomic Blonde because your mic's just gonna cut out on us in 2 minutes into it.
Well, we'll see about that.
You said your synopsis for Atomic Blonde is long-winded, and I don't have time for that.
Plus,
neither
I
does
think
your
that's
mic.
what he's actually trying to say.
Yeah,
is he's getting tired.
look, for look, Atomic. Okay, yeah, Atomic Blonde. It's a freaking music video. It's written for 14-year-olds. I predicted everything that would happen in this movie by asking myself, what would they present to a 14-year-old? As soon as like she meets Sophia Boutella, I'm like, they're definitely gonna make out. They're definitely gonna get naked together. Like I knew everything that would happen in this movie because it's just tailored for like I would love this movie maybe when I was like 14, but I definitely have aged out of this movie by about 30 years. So
this is a spy movie for the TikTok generation.
Yes, it certainly is.
I think is the way to look
awful.
at it. Now, do I think it's an awful movie? No. Okay, but do I think it's a quality movie? No. But I will say the soundtrack is phenomenal. Very good.
It's a music video.
Yeah,
this movie
the music is fantastic. I think a lot of the visuals are pretty neat. What's that?
It's a comic book movie.
It is a bad one. See, here's what makes a bad comic book movie, and for me, bad comic.
It's the She-Hulk of movies.
No, She-Hulk was awesome.
She-Hulk was terrible.
The reason Marvel makes good comic book movies is because it's about their characters. They take comic booky characters and
when
make
was the last time they made a
stories
good comic book movie?
Like the last one they made, Wakanda Forever, was awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet, but it's something I need to watch soon.
It's just like an internet line people say. It's just like, oh, Marvel's been shitty since Endgame, but it's like none of that's true. Like there were shitty movies before Endgame. Before Endgame, there was Thor 2, and like
that's true.
The quality's just as consistent now as it always has.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
People just miss Robert Downey Jr. and like they want their old characters back.
Oh, I don't miss him. I think he definitely has played his part. But anyway,
but what makes a bad comic book and a bad comic book movie is you just take an idea and just make it like stupid, edgy, in stupid ways.
Well, this is based on
or like
novel,
dark in cliche ways.
Yeah, this was a graphic novel.
Comic book is good if it's dark, you know. Like, but like to me, that's not. It doesn't work. Like adding darkness to a comic book just to be dark is always like makes a bad. Usually ruins the story and guts a story a bit.
I don't know. Batman did it pretty good.
But the whole story.
No, it didn't. Batman is boring as shit.
Dark Knight trilogy is fantastic.
No, it's not fantastic. It's boring. Anyway. I fell asleep through every one of those. Your mic's squirreling out again, Murphy. We can't just keep doing this. It's too late to keep squirreling with this mic. Just give a brief synopsis of what you think this movie's about. So there's not a lot of plot here.
So basically the plot is about Charlize Theron's character.
Bring up your gain a bit.
So you can't even remember her name. Because it's so unmemorable.
No, because you got me all flustered about this audio shit. And I gotta
it's
like
bad.
My notes.
Whatever, Jaemeel. Anyway. I do what I want.
Jaemeel like this movie?
The time setting's based in 1989, where Lorraine Broughton is brought in by M16. The movie's set between
MI6
period. MI6. Anyway, the movie's set between the time jumping period of her giving her debrief of the previous 10 days, where she was sent to Berlin just before the collapse of the Berlin Wall. She's sent to go get microfilm documents that have all the information of all the secret agents on both sides of the Cold War in Soviet Russia and the UK and all that stuff. While she's in Berlin, she's told to look out for a double agent named a KGB agent named Satchel, who's been giving MI6 trouble. And in doing so, she gets to Berlin, where she is met up with James McAvoy's character, David Percival. David Percival is a wild character who's started getting into the German bohemian lifestyle, and he's probably one of the more fun characters in the film. But he's also a mole and a double agent and trading everyone for his own selfish benefit. Getting the opening character, James Gassion, who's played by Sam Hargrave, killed by the Russian KGB agents. So, in the process of trying to find the microfilm, she is also tasked with trying to extract Agent Spyglass, who is played by I think
that creepy looking
synopsis is very
Eddie Martin.
true to the movie because it's terribly boring. This movie's plot is very boring.
She eventually has to take out Eddie Marson. While she's in Berlin, she actually gets her information from a watchmaker who is played by Till Schweiger.
There goes your mic again.
It's it is determined that the information that they're finding and looking for is all within a watch. Yeah. So, it becomes a bunch.
I
of
think the
double
sigh
crossing
is really the best part of this entire synopsis. It's the sigh.
The sigh was your timed sigh. There was more entertaining.
That is true to what this movie is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little. This film is lacking substance, to say the least. But
It's not pretty to look at either.
Well, no, it's a very gritty
Stupid.
sort of action film, and it was made by the co-director of John Wick, so it's female.
I don't think that's what gritty means. You can't be this fake is grit and be gritty. Gritty is more like dirty, down in the gutters, like on the street. Gritty, like this is just like fluff. Like
this woman went through the shit to try and like extract information for what was believed to be the MI6. Ultimately, in her mission, she reveals to the MI6 that she was never able to find Satchel was the one that killed David Percival after she gets the microfilm from him and chases him down through like the various nightclubs that they're fucking bouncing through in this movie. And
because it's a music video.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's some music video scenes, and they use a lot of music from like '83 and whatnot. But she ultimately
90% of this movie is just glamour shots of Charlize Theron. Like,
yeah,
go back and watch this movie again in time. How much is just a glamour
shots.
shot of her? Her looking sexy, her looking beat up, her being naked, her making out with this chick. It's just that, man. Like they made this for 14-year-olds 100%. I don't know why any of these actors agreed to do it. Money.
Like Charlize Theron's
Money.
like passion project. She's been working on it for like 5 years, but like, you know.
That's insane.
This really like threw my whole like vibe and off. I'm trying to figure this out now.
Oh, there's your mic again. What a waste of John Goodman and Toby Jones. I friggin' love those two. What a waste. Yeah, man. Toby Jones, the Detectorist. Check it out, people. Yeah.
Such a weird looking dude, though.
But that's what makes him. He's so good in Detectorist. You ever seen that, Jody? Check it out.
No, I haven't.
I like the scene where like they were like trying to like sniper them and stuff. And anyway, yeah, you're right. This scene is a lot of glamour shots of Charlize Theron, and she's basically tracks down David Percival to get the microfilm after she figures he's been like betraying them. She gets it back to the MI6, tells MI6 Satchel did the killing. She is in fact Agent Satchel, as later is revealed because she ends up meeting with the Russians. She ends up ultimately killing the Russians and letting them know, like, because they figured out who she was and they sent a cleaning team. She kills them, There's also this like continuous shot of her drinking like Russian vodka on the rocks, which is
She loves the Stoli, that's for sure.
Yeah, they tried to like lead the idea that she was the KGB agent in Satchel, and yeah, she ends up killing them, and then she takes the actual microfilm and gives it to the CIA agent and John Goodman's character Kurtzman, where she ultimately reveals that she was a triple agent for the CIA the whole time. There's a lot of really cool fight scenes in this film. There's a lot of
there's one good fight scene, and the rest of them are painfully bad. They even wasted Daniel Bernhard. They brought Daniel Bernhard. He was an actual martial artist and was one of the stars of that Mortal Kombat TV show that wasn't good, but there was fighting in it. And they do the fight scene, Charlize Theron and Daniel Bernhard. That's like in front of that screen TV where it's like raining.
Yeah,
and that's terrible. Like, why hire Daniel Bernhard if you're just gonna
the stairway fight, in my opinion, is the best fight.
Yeah, that was the only good one.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that.
I liked what McAvoy's character was like doing the scene, but yeah, I enjoyed the blonde versus blonde fight scene. I thought it was pretty brutal as shit.
Very cool. Yeah,
like stabbing her with,
that one was the good one. Yeah,
I also like the fact that like after she's pretty much done, she goes to get up and she literally falls right back down from exhaustion for a second.
Yeah,
she gets
she
back
like
up
falls into the door.
Yeah, she falls into the door and just kind of like she's offset for a minute and then does that. So I thought like I think the easiest way to sum up this movie is it's a spy movie for the TikTok generation with the occasional awesome fight scene in it.
One good fight scene. The rest aren't even good enough for TV.
I think all the fight scenes have some merit to them, but there's a lot of them in this movie. But she gets her ass handed to her quite regularly in this movie. I like John Goodman's character. I think he portrays it very well. He keeps it very, very stoic for most of the movie. And
wasn't enough of them.
There definitely wasn't enough of them. I agree with that for sure. But
he actually had one of my.
Your mic's going again, Murphy. This is disastrous. But I don't know. Can we yada to the end of this plot? What happens in this movie? Like, not much.
He pretty much already explained most of it.
Yeah, that was it. That was pretty much it. She gets in a big fight in the scene there, and like the whole time she's just being debriefed by Goodman and Toby Jones. So it's one of those things that like jumps between someone explaining their story and that story actually happening. I don't really like that trope either, so that didn't work for me.
Nope.
There goes Murphy.
He gone.
Well, we talked about the plot and storytelling and lack thereof in this movie.
We have some
this movie
clips, don't we?
sucked. Yeah, we have some clips, I think.
Murphy's back. Oh, he's gone
Which
again.
scene would we hold up? I had trouble picking one. I actually told Murphy he could have my scene picked because I was so bored. It took me so long to force myself to watch this movie. I watched like a half an hour of it. I had to quit and watch some Deep Space Nine just to make myself like
just to level your
enliven my brain, and then watch some more of it. That was terrible. So I did some parenting for a while.
Yeah, I picked the stairway fight because the stairway fight, in my opinion, is fantastic.
That's the only thing that pulled me back in. Like I was
everything about the stairway
probably
fight.
Not even watch the end of this movie. I was going to tap out. It was so bad.
The stairway fight is just captivating. The entire thing.
Yeah, that was good. That pulled me back in for like the brief time it was.
Here we go.
And then I was out again.
This is it here.
Yeah.
She looks down. She's like, "Shit, I don't have a lot." Oh boy, life's about to get worse. That's basically what she's thinking here.
Oh yeah. There's no way this ends without a lot of pain.
But I just love the throwing around going on, and the multiple levels that are happening at the time, and it's just
there's too much shaky cam. Like shaky cam doesn't make you a good director or make an edgy movie. It's just annoying on the eye. Like. Shaky
I think here, though, I think it actually works because we want the chaos. We want the chaos of this fight, and I think it does.
In this scene, it's probably the most tolerable, but they do it the whole movie, and it's just,
like, look at that. That's just brutal. She just takes it right to the face.
Yeah, this scene's pretty good. I gotta say.
And she's not holding back either. Like these punches are landing.
I feel bad for the stunt guy of like the guy who just threw her down because he has to like fall headfirst.
Like look at that.
Onto the
She's just
stairway.
fucking getting pummeled, man. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's not even
that
like
scene's
that's
nuts.
just like 2% of that entire scene. Like that entire scene goes for like 8 minutes. It's crazy.
Well, there she just kicks that one other guy down the stairs basically, and then they go fight in that room.
They
the
fight
other
the two blondes fight each other.
Yeah.
After that, so and I like the kind of the sparring that's going on between the two blondes, especially when he first comes into the room. Yeah, like you see the scene with her back against the wall, but she can see the door, and then he comes through the door, and then they start taking shots at each other and stuff. It's just I thought that was probably the best part of the whole movie, in my opinion.
And like he's strangling her. He's just like
yeah,
take this bitch, and then he
there
she
you
gets
go.
out of it and
That's
stabs him in
right
the
there.
eye. It's just like, am I your bitch now?
And I like the fact that she has the gun. She's not holding it correctly now. She knows she's done with the gun. And what's she gonna do with it, right? She's just gonna throw it or use it to hit him in the face.
With it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I liked it.
Okay now?
Yep.
So far,
Yeah,
so
you
good?
sound pretty good.
It always lasts for like 2 minutes, and then it cuts out again. So just expect it to do that again.
Well, I'm hoping the fact that I've switched the plug, it should be fine this time. So
Well, we'll see, I guess.
No, we'll see.
The scene I picked is very short.
Yeah, you picked.
And it was like the only thing I enjoyed.
I
in the
love
whole
that
movie
too. That
for
was
the
pretty
most
good.
part.
Yes, of course. We're just doing the debrief right in the early beginning.
The voices on record are the following. Myself, Senior Director and Officer Eric Gray. Our American guest, Emmett Kurtzfeld, the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, and returning British Operational Officer Lorraine Broughton.
Before we begin, sir, may I formally request that Mr. Kurtzfeld be removed from the debriefing?
Request denied.
What I have to tell you, sir, is not for the CIA, dear.
Lorraine, you are the subject of this debriefing, not
I
its
understand.
controller.
I was there in Berlin, and I'm here with the full executive authority of Langley. Would it make you more comfortable? I could stand behind the mirror with everybody else, but it's a little crowded back there.
Cocksucker.
What did you say?
I didn't say anything.
Sorry. Did you say something, Lorraine?
Did you hear me say something?
I thought you said something.
What did she say?
What?
I do like the scene on the plane after, though. Like right at the end, where he's like,
what's funny?
Cocksucker? And she's like, yeah.
What's funny about that scene, though, is Toby Jones is just by the book. He just wants to hear what she said so he can write it down so he has a complete log. He's like,
Yeah, he's
"Say
just
something
he
else."
just wants to log
He's
it.
like,
yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my scene.
My favorite scene is take a picture of it, which is where they have the meeting at the board.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I liked all the fight scenes and stuff like that, but I kind of wanted to find
Something that wasn't a fight scene.
Yeah, this was not.
That's quite a view.
I like the dynamic
70 miles
between
of
John
barbed
Goodman and
wire,
her, though.
310 guard towers, 65 anti-vehicle trenches, 40,000 Soviet-trained, heavily armed frontier troops. All that, and 5,000 GDR citizens still had the brass balls to escape.
Give that man any line in the world.
You've got the MI6 word. They're called the CIA to
He's a
talk
great
sense
actor.
into you.
Yep.
Eric Gray called me.
He deserves better than this movie.
I don't have to remind you of how fast the clock is ticking.
I wouldn't
If
disagree.
this thing gets out, a lot of good, hardworking folks, brave men and women, are going to show up dead. You and I included. I swear to God, the last few weeks, I dread even waking up in the morning.
I understand the severity of the situation, sir, and the time imperative.
Listen, I didn't climb all the way up here just to give you some rousing pep.
I love John Goodman, but this scene is really
So I'll
boring.
cut to the chase. Last night you met a woman. Delphine LaSalle is out of her depth.
He did some glamour shots with her.
Given the climate, I'd hate to see an executive order come down the line that falls in her disinterest.
Her disinterest? What do you mean, her disinterest?
Don't insult my intelligence, Lorraine. You know exactly what I fucking mean.
I like that.
Hope we get a snapshot. Next week, this will be a whole different picture.
Like even though the
funny.
wall's coming down and everything.
Yeah.
That's sort of
So I think the
Yeah.
easiest way to sum this up, this whole movie, and I've already kind of said it, but I want to add a little bit to it. So yes, I think it's a movie made for the TikTok generation with some good fight scenes and a little bit of side boob. There you go. Now I've summarized the entire thing. It's too
And front boob. It's just like gratuitous. It's like it's unnecessary.
I don't think it's
no
gratuitous.
in that it's unnecessary. It's just there to excite 14-year-old boys. It's
Well, maybe,
gratuitous.
but
maybe, but like
sex sells. It's
how's
that
that
simple.
Any difference from like the male?
Sex
hero?
sells, but it doesn't make a good movie.
But how's that any different from say like the male hero, like showing his battle scars and wounds and having a
Of
hot
course.
shower and
Yeah.
shit like that, just because she's a female and her tits.
Yeah,
are
how many times have we
bigger?
seen topless Vin Diesel in a movie?
Yeah,
Like it's
right?
pretty common.
Like, I
That's
feel
dumb
like
too.
The nudity in this movie was really well balanced and not overdone. And
Yeah, I don't think it really was. But
Totally unbalanced. They just showed her boobs for no reason all the time.
This is the case of over stylization. I think they had a good concept and they blew it by over stylization, going too much into the music focus. I think the soundtrack is fantastic. I think I like the fact that they
music
picked
video.
They picked some German songs, German renditions of songs. They picked some, obviously different songs from different areas, but some pop songs from the time. Obviously, this takes place in '89, so it makes sense. But overall, I just think the stylization is what probably killed this movie. For me anyway. I agree with Davan. I think most of this movie is pretty boring. It's very predictable. It's extremely
predictable. Because you're like, what would a 14-year-old boy like to see right now?
I didn't even go that far. I literally, as I'm watching the movie, I'm just thinking, okay, well, the next thing that's going to happen is this, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. It was
every time.
Yeah, it's a very predictable movie.
There's nothing here. It's a waste of time. And I had to force myself to watch it, and I was angry at Murphy the whole time.
Okay, screw me for trying to pick what is considered one of the best female-led spy movies. When it comes to the
It's just a disgrace, a black mark on Hollywood for not casting some females in some good spy movies. But there aren't a lot of great spy movies, in my opinion. I don't really like the genre a whole lot. I gotta admit.
Well,
but that's why I liked how
paper-thin genre to begin with.
Yeah,
but I mean,
that's why I liked how North by Northwest and Ronin were like on the periphery of it and like approached it from a different.
Yeah,
way.
they didn't
This
go
one is
full
just-
spy movie, which is this
This
goes
is full spy
movie.
movie, but like bad at it. It's not like GoldenEye or something watchable.
They
Like
didn't try to change the game in any sense. They just wanted to do it through a very stylish and a very 2017 light.
This should have been a direct to Amazon
music
Prime
video.
movie.
Yeah.
I think it was meant to be like a direct to Netflix or something like that movie, but it had a theater release or whatever. I don't know the whole story behind its like production or anything like that. But like that being said, I thought it was a very
The key in the cheek was pretty good.
the key and face thing.
That's
made me
Daniel
like,
Bernhardt.
oh,
They wasted him.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought they didn't really waste him. He had the best fights in the whole movie.
No, he
between her
didn't.
and whatnot.
Oh yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
Was he the guy in the last scene too?
Yeah, he
That
was the guy
last
in the
fight
last
scene.
The last fight
Oh
scene.
yeah, okay, he's good, and they didn't waste him then. Never mind. They wasted him in that first fight scene.
No, the first fight scene was like a setup, to the.
Yeah, it wasn't really a full out fight scene.
Fair enough. They brought in Daniel Bernhardt and gave him the best.
And I don't think there was any reason to have Sophia in this. I can't.
Because she's gorgeous. That's the only reason she's in it. They needed another chick to get naked with that chick. It's the only reason.
In the comic book, her character is like a male, and then they mix it up to be female, and I touch
To be sexier.
She was better in that. What was it?
Is there any performance you guys would hold up
In this movie?
Oh, Yeah, I'll give it to Toby Jones and John Goodman, but like, man, I don't care.
I enjoyed Goodman for the limited amount.
I want to give it up to this guy for having somewhat decent mutton chops.
Those are pretty.
Well, we do have
chops for sure.
We do have our segment Muttons with Murphy.
Muttons with Murphy. All right.
These were good. They were very 89. They were a little disconnected, so they weren't full friendly mutton chops, but they were passable, and they made me point out at the screen. So yeah, the T-boning into the water, all that stuff, super predictable. I liked this scene though.
The umbrella thing is the only thing that I didn't predict, even though I saw the umbrellas earlier, and thought, why is there so many umbrellas? But
just like the whistle and the sniper couldn't get them, and like
this was smart. I've never seen this before in a movie, so I will say that this is smart for trying to divert snipers.
I feel like
it didn't work well though. In reality,
well, I mean, it did work well in the fact that they diverted the sniper, but it was James McAvoy's character that ended up shooting spies.
Yeah, exactly. I liked McAvoy though. I thought he played a good bad guy, even though he wasn't supposed to be a bad guy.
In this.
I wouldn't go so far.
His character was I just did not care about his.
It was a very stereotypical type character for sure.
It felt like I think he was filming this at the same time he was filming Split, so it kind of felt like the same character from Split in a sense. But
yes. Yeah, I would agree with that.
McAvoy was the more entertaining, and he kind of like kept the energy of the film going.
Yeah,
which is why
this is the movie for people who like Southland Tales. Like it's bad in all the same ways. It's just people trying to be edgy and cool and just being like uninteresting and boring and cliche. Setting aesthetic, it's trying to be pretty and eye-catching, and for me, it fails at it because of that. It's trying to be too.
I liked some of the scenes. I liked how some of the stuff was stylized. I liked her apartment or hotel room or whatever it was. I thought that was kind of neat to look at.
Cool. I liked some shots. They really went hard on the bicolor lighting, like green, purple, red, blue, all that stuff.
A little too much.
There was one scene that I despised though that really took me out, and it was
the
whole red room scene.
The red room.
It was horrible.
These two having a conversation and the blue lights just flashing on
But
their face,
if you actually go back to that shot for a second, that's a toilet.
Yeah, that's a bathroom. It's a very big toilet.
This is a bathroom that they're in, realistically.
With, no door cover, so do they just? Well, I guess it's Germany, so they're not too shy when it comes to taking pisses and shits everywhere. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a lot.
They call that the Scheiße room.
The Scheiße room. Get the chair for you to watch, so you can be Kockenstein.
Indeed. But
all right, do me a favor, Murphy. Because honestly, there's no morsel about this movie that's going to be delicious. They're all going to
wrap it up.
Let's
tie a bow on it.
So movie morsels for Atomic Blonde 2017. Charlize Theron cracked 2 teeth while filming this, and Davan cracked 3 while watching it, grinding his teeth so hard.
That's true.
That's good.
But the baby also headbutted me in the tooth, so it's already loose.
It was originally hoped that David Bowie would play a part in the film, although he turned down the offer shortly before his death.
David Bowie makes anything better.
It's true.
So
it's true.
I would have liked to see him in it, but I don't think he could have even saved this.
No, it's probably better for him entirely that he
probably a good choice on his part. Yeah.
While the main focus in both the graphic novel and the script was always on the character Lane Broughton, played by Charlize Theron, in the film, some of the minor characters get a lot more attention than originally planned, including that of Sophia Boutell's Delphine Lassalle. She was originally a male character in the graphic novel. Lorraine is shown seducing him. Both characters are clothed, but you don't see any sex. That all changed for the film, says the film's director, David Leitch. The relationship was flipped before I came on board, and it was a great idea. You always have to find ways to contemporize these stories and reach bigger audiences and be provocative in your story.
Getting a sexy girl in there to get sexy isn't contemporizing anything.
No.
David Leitch wanted to see Sophia Boutella's tits. That's the only reason. That's the whole reason.
Well, to be fair, who doesn't? Let's be honest.
Sure, she's like ridiculously.
I'm trying to remember the name of the
but
freaking movie that she was in. That she played the bad guy with the legs. That were.
She was in the Mummy remake.
Yeah, she was
She
in
was
the Mummy, remake, but that's not what I'm thinking of. Oh,
I didn't see that. 'cause
the
Tom Cruise
Huntsman.
is in
No,
it.
the
Hunger Games.
no.
Early in the movie, where Charlize Theron is in a car fighting two escorts, the tunnel sequence in Berlin features the same tunnel in Captain America: Civil War in 2016, where Black Panther chases down Bucky Barnes, and is also the
I
same
thought it
tunnel
might
in the
be.
Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part 2, where Katniss Everdeen and her team try to get to President Snow. The movie
The
playing in
Kingsman.
cinema. The Kingsman.
She was in the Kingsman.
Right. She was in the Kingsman.
She was like
the movie.
That movie was made for 14-year-old boys too.
Okay, so I got.
Yeah, but it was a better movie than this.
Yeah, it was.
The movie playing in the cinema at Alexander Platz's is Stalker from 1979, a Soviet-made film about a professional guide who leads his clients on a clandestine trek through a surreal region called the Zone to reach a mysterious room where a person's innermost desire is granted. It's plausible that a 10-year-old film would be showing in East Berlin since entertainment options behind the Iron Curtain were notoriously limited. So that actually movie sounds pretty killer and is more.
Sounds better than this.
Yeah, I know. Like,
not hard.
I kind of want to check that out.
Well, there you go. Now you got something to check.
You pick on another episode.
Maybe it holds
with
up.
few exceptions, then this is touching on the music for Jody. You'll find this interesting. With few exceptions, the soundtrack predominantly features songs released in 1983 or earlier, which is not in keeping with the film's November 1989 setting in West Berlin. West Berlin was a very hipster city as a result of government incentives intended to attract a young population. Relocation, expenses were paid, taxes were subsidized, and male residents were exempt from Germany's mandatory military service. Songs like 99 Luftballons, Major Tom, and Der Kommissionär from 1982 and 83 would have been
The
hoped
Commissioners in
success
town.
in 1989. No West Berlin nightclub at the time would have been caught dead playing the politics of dancing from 1983, except maybe on a retro night. Detroit techno and other early house music swept Europe in the late 1980s and would have been common in trendy Berlin clubs, but these genres have become relatively obscure, particularly in North America and Asia, where they achieved very limited mainstream success. To appeal to general moviegoings like the public in 2017, the filmmakers presumably chose better-known songs, more archetypically 80s known songs. So that's why they went with these like 83 jams. And in an interview with IMDb Originals, James McAvoy said that he learned that MI6 posted World War II liked to MI6 post World War II liked to recruit alcoholics, drug addicts, and gay men because they had usable experience in holding a big secret that was transferable into being a spy. I thought that's quite interesting, so I decided to go with that hardcore and try and make David Percival as alky and as druggy as possible. I wanted to make him a gay man as well, but they wouldn't let me because Charlize is gay in it, or at least she's a bi in it. I don't know. Or maybe she's doing just for a job. I'm not quite sure. The cinematography was by Jonathan
Details
Sela,
are worked
edited
out for this story or these characters because nobody cared to do so.
Cinematography, Jonathan Selo, edited by Elizabeth Ronald's daughter. I think it's a German last name. Music by Tyler Bates. Distributed by Focus Features, July 20th, 2017. 115 minutes. The budget was $30 million. The box office of $100 million this movie made.
Wow.
Yes. Well, like we are living in a post-apocalyptic society where, like, where people will
Out of all
spend
three of our films, this is the one that
monies
made the
on.
most money.
I mean, people went to see Avatar too. That just shows you that people are just suckers that want to give their money away. I don't know what does. Rewatchability.
That's the man who's excited about every Marvel movie that comes out.
Yeah, because they have good characters.
Okay.
Well, we'll see if his tune's different after his Quantumanium review on the Mary Mater Marvel.
No, it's gonna be awesome. Quantumania. You kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Rewatchability, no.
Rewatchability for me, you know what? I pass on this one. I wasn't.
So I already watched this once with my wife, and I was pretty sure that I was on my phone the entire time because I didn't remember any of it. I remembered like the fight scene, that was it. And then I had to watch it again for this because I wanted to at least kind of knew what the hell I was talking about. And I regretted most of watching it. I actually almost fell asleep 3 times. And I was watching that just before I came on the air on this podcast. So
Should have did what I did and sprinkled a little DS9 in there.
I was tempted. I was very tempted. Yeah, for sure. I've been rewatching Sons of Anarchy, so that's been my thing over the last couple weeks. So.
Don't I look like Charlie Hunnam?
No.
I've been told I do.
Sons of Anarchy it was good
up until like the 3rd season.
Yeah, I'm on the 4th now, so things are starting to get a little hard.
Yeah, it's basically after Opie gets brutally murdered. That's when the show.
Well, Opie isn't murdered yet, and he's in season 4. He dies in season 4, I think. Spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen that. Yeah, once Opie dies, it's not as good of a series. I agree.
And it has one of the worst endings. I was so mad at the ending; it ruined the whole show.
I think it was intentionally made.
Look, it's too late. It's too late where I'm at to talk about Sons of Anarchy on a movie podcast, fellas. You're killing me here, boys. You're killing me. Look,
not our fault.
Yes
you decided
or no?
to pick.
Yes. We started an hour later than normal because I didn't tell you guys I was talking about Atlantic time.
Oh
anyway.
No, it doesn't hold up for me.
No.
I wanted it to. I wanted to give it a fair shake. I wanted to see a nice, awesome spy movie that had a female lead. There's good action scenes, but it's too much of a pinata of a movie. It's colorful outside, but completely empty on the inside, and there's no fucking candy when you break it open.
I don't think this is the fault of Charlize Theron. I think she did good with what she had. I think overall, I think she did well with the material she was given, and she certainly can get her ass kicked, and she does a really good job with that. And just the way she portrayed, even like during the fight scenes, how she's portraying kind of falling down and stuff, I think was great. Past that though, this is not a movie I think I'm ever gonna watch again. It's on my media center right now, and I think I'm gonna delete it after this podcast.
Do it.
Might as well get a couple gigs back on space, right?
Let's see if maybe Atomic Blonde 2 will be better if it ever comes out.
My understanding is it is. So
oh my god.
Well, if you're telling me they made it for 30 and made 100 million on it, they're going to make another one.
They'll definitely make another one. Yeah, they will.
Yep. There's obviously a market for it, so.
Yeah, and they'll spend 100 million on it and make 30. So.
I think the order that we presented these movies in is exactly the order of which they're good.
I concur.
We have an A, B, and a C.
Yeah, we do.
While watching Atomic Blonde, I was thinking, Ronin's probably the worst of the 3. By the time I got to the end of Atomic Blonde, I was like, nope, Atomic Blonde was the worst of the 3. So the way these movies were presented is the scale.
I'm surprised you didn't like Ronin as much as I would have thought you would have liked it a little bit more. But
I really wanted to, but it would just it felt such like NPC. There was no weight to the chaos that was happening, and Robert Downey Jr. really sucked the life out of the film for me. He was so.
Robert Downey Jr.'s not in the film, so that would be why.
He meant De Niro, but we got what you meant.
If Robert Downey Jr. was in the film, it probably would.
Actually, come to think of it, that might have been all right.
That would have been a better choice.
Mind you, we would have had 98 Robert Downey Jr., which.
Even better? No, I don't know.
Actually, Robert Downey Jr. in Atomic Blonde might have actually been a better movie.
There you go.
Him as McAvoy's character might have actually been pretty good.
That would have been interesting.
That would have been interesting. Yeah.
I could have seen something like that.
Yeah. I'm not big on McAvoy. I don't think I like him in really.
I'm okay with McAvoy.
For Last King of
Scotland. He's been good with
good
it.
in that.
Did you watch?
He's good in Last King of
Split and
Scotland.
Glass?
Split and Glass are great.
No, I didn't.
If you haven't watched that trilogy, you got to watch it.
I saw Unbreakable, but it was just.
Well, then you got one of them anyway.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Split and Glass make Unbreakable a lot better.
Oh yeah, very much. The 3 of them and the way they connect is just fantastic.
Especially if you're such a big comic book fan, those 3 movies.
You guys should do a hold up with all 3 of those.
Oh, that's not the worst idea.
Yes, it is.
Worst idea.
No, actually, I think if you
it
haven't seen those
our whole concept.
Well, it does destroy your concept. Yeah, maybe it should be like a special one.
So. We have added to our A movies, we have added to our B movies, and we have added to our C movies today. Interesting. Thanks for joining us, Jody.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun, even though Murphy's mic destroyed part of it. But
yeah,
what can you do?
It was a small hiccup. Clearly, it hasn't happened since I did my magic and fixed the hiccups. Okay, so.
Oh, there's
Jaemeel.
I was waiting.
Our final thoughts with Jaemeel segment.
Oh, Jameel's coming in to piss me off. That's
I came to do the after show, and before I was respectful and waited to the very end, and everyone vacated the room like someone like Shannon or something. All right?
I'll stay for a bit.
Literally, you want me to run through? Now. Want me to run through some things? So I'll start with Atomic Blonde. Okay, Atomic Blonde obviously is a product of 2016, I think, Comic-Con, because this movie reeks of the influence of Suicide Squad, the first Suicide Squad, which was a movie that was initially released, had the trailer for it and had a kind of mixed reaction, and then they did the Comic-Con trailer, which was just a music video, and then they re-edited the entire movie to be a music video. This Atomic Blonde reeks of that influence. Like, they're like, hold the presses, let's edit this movie like it's a music video, like the Suicide Squad. It's gonna make millions of dollars. And funny enough,
but Murphy claims it was her passion project for 5 years, so that doesn't.
I think the concept of it was the passion project, because you have to also remember at this time that this is before. I'm pretty sure this was like, it would have been her initially before Wonder Woman in terms of when she picked up the script or the comic book. So there were a ton of women projects that were being cut off at the knees. Warner Brothers had a mandate saying no more female-led action movies. So I believe she had some power due to Mad Max, and this is where she used that capital to kind of, to kind of make a movie.
A waste of capital.
Well, not really.
Depends on how you look at it, because she made $100 million on 30.
She got paid.
Yeah. No, it's not even that she got paid, because she would have got paid regardless. It's the fact that she showed that it could be profitable. So hopefully the sins of this movie can birth, but the sins of this movie could birth some quality content, or the idea that with proper like scripts and
so
production.
What you're saying is this is the gunshot to the leg that saves the heart, basically.
Yes. I hope,
all right, fair enough.
I hope it is. I hope it is.
Fair enough.
And on that note,
yes.
You have something else you want to say there, Jaemeel?
Well, you were like, and that note, you wanted to cut off the show. You want to go?
He's Jaemeel. He's got a lot
to say. Half an hour ago.
Okay. Davan, you said all the Fast and Furious movies suck. That's wrong.
Yeah,
Tokyo
Drift,
and Better Luck Tomorrow are the actual two exceptions. Jody, She-Hulk was awesome.
No,
yeah, it was.
I completely disagree.
And there is a mixed bag when it comes to Marvel. Don't let the people online fool you that everything is rose-colored glasses. It isn't the case.
No.
That's okay. We can end the show.
I judge my Marvel statements based on my observations, not anybody.
Fair enough, and I can respect that more than like Marvel's never made a bad movie, and Marvel only makes bad movies, which are
That's totally wrong. They've made some great movies.
Yeah, so we can.
And some stinkers.
You can get some time back. There you go.
Right,
is this actually a segment you guys have? Like,
there's supposed to be an after show. They keep on telling me that there needs to be an after show, so I was kind of waiting.
Sounds like the joke's on you there, Jaemeel.
That's the latest segment. Jokes on Jaemeel.
Jokes on Jaemeel.
Are we ending this or?
Becoming attractions, Murphy. I'm dying on the inside.
Like Jameel's hot take or something.
All right. Well, before we get to the coming attractions, we are part of a united federation of podcasts where we talk about a whole litany of things between a whole litany of podcasts, like Star Trek at Live Long and Podcast.
I'm doing this rundown.
Oh, well, you're doing this rundown, are you?
Yeah. X-Men Tuesdays, Graphic Histories randomly, Super Mario Brothers reality shows, KBBL The Simpsons Fridays, Trivial Debates once a month, usually on a Sunday. They debate trivial things. Hellbound Podcast just came out with a new episode. It's about horror movies. Live Long and Podcast, would you believe it's about Star Trek? It has many divisions, which cover many aspects of Star Trek, including this beautiful logoed one here, No Cuters of Trek. That's all our shows on this wonderful.
You kind of cut off Super Mario Brothers and the Mary Marvel.
We are brothers.
Yeah, Mary made a Marvel Society over there, Super Mario Brothers.
I'm actually a guest on this show, and he hasn't even plugged the show that I'm on. Like, what's this about?
Enterprise at 8. I said Live Long and Podcast. Enterprise at 8. Go see Jody talk about Enterprise because he loves Captain Archer more than life itself.
Watch the Love Club on
Jody, when you're
W.
done Enterprise, do you want to do a Quantum Leap review show?
I don't know if I can hold
no.
out
The
for
new
the whole
Quantum
Quantum
Leap?
Leap.
No.
Not the new one. I would never do the new one.
We even have to lead into the new one. That's the best part.
Oh, well,
Apparently it's a
the answer is no. If I have to review any of the new one, then no.
You can check out after we're done the old one, and I'll find somebody for the new one.
Oh, okay. Well,
You know what? I love you all. Peace.
All right. See you, Davan.
Take care.
All right, that's it for the Hold Up Movie Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the movies that we talked about and you enjoyed this podcast.
My favorite part was Jaemeel.
Thank you, Jody.
Saying hello.
Hey, always like
we're
to see
gonna
you.
organize a post-show thing where we might record and do a Patreon.
Oh, there you go.
We'll figure this out a bit. And yeah, that's how we do it here on Hold Up. We're gonna
Gotta
talk about
make some
movies.
bank.
Yeah, gotta make some bank.
Gotta
work
pay
on
the
some
bills.
things, some kinks and whatnot. My loving host Davan has left the room. I'm here with Jody Simpson and Jaemeel Robinson. We're gonna call it here. At
You know how you can tell Davan's gone? Because he hasn't told you that your mic sucks in the last 10 minutes.
I know.
That was also something that I wanted to talk about.
Well, the worst thing is, like, you'd be going and you'd be in mid-sentence. He'd be like, your mic's dead. Your mic's dead. Your mic's dead.
Like, it's like I wanted to talk about a Todd
Like,
Blonde
the mic
in an
is
entertaining
broken.
way.
We get it.
Well, you guys could do ADR. We have separate audio tracks on this. I did not understand.
Yeah.
Anyway, so our next episode, we're going to be talking about network TVs and journalism, journalism is our next episode. We're going to be talking about network, a year living dangerously, and I forget the last movie title. It's been a late night. I'm fried.
Nightcrawler.
Coming attractions.
Oh, Nightcrawler with
Thank you, Jimmy.
God,
what's his name?
I'm not even on this show.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
It's been a long day, okay? It's been a long podcast. Let's end it. Let's watch some trailers. I love you guys. Enjoy the movies. Come back to us next time.
Thanks for having me.
And now, the distinguished television news commentator, Mr. Howard Beale.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like at this moment to announce that I will be retiring from this program in 2 weeks' time because of poor ratings. Since this show was the only thing I had going for me in my life, I have decided to kill myself. I'm going to blow my brains out right on this program a week from today.
What the hell's going on?
Prepare yourself for a perfectly outrageous motion picture.
Howard Beale went up there last night and said what every American feels, that he's tired of all the bull.
Sakes, Diana, we're talking about putting a manifestly irresponsible man on national television.
I am not putting Howard back on the air.
It's not your show anymore, Max. It's mine.
I got a feeling I'm being made.
You are.
Got to warn you, I don't do anything on my first date.
We'll see. I want a show developed based on the activities of a terrorist group.
Well, Ahmed, I'm gonna make a TV star out of you. Just like Archie Bunker.
You're the #1 show in television!
We're number one! There is no America. There is no democracy. There is only IBM and DuPont and Exxon. And you have meddled with the primal forces of nature. And you will atone. Am I getting through to you, Mr. Beale?
Why me?
It was your own television, dummy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Network News Hour with Howard Beale.
I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Things have got to change.
How many
but first,
stations does this
you've
go out
got to
live
get
to?
mad.
67.
You've got to say... I want you to get up right now. Go to your windows, stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Are they yelling in Atlanta, Herb?
Are they yelling in Atlanta, Ted?
I'm mad as hell! I'm not going to take it anymore!
Network by Patty Chayefsky, directed by Sidney Lumet, produced by Howard Gottfried. Television will never be the same.
Hamilton, Guy. Occupation, journalist. Jakarta, first assignment as foreign correspondent.
A reporter on the way in.
You're an enemy here, Hamilton. Like all Westerners. I felt sorry for you. Dumped in your first posting without contacts. Adrift, hoping to bluff your way through. But you won't. Guy Hamilton, right?
Right.
Billy Kwan. I did a lot of film work for Potter. Bryant, Gillian Edith. Occupation, assistant to military attaché.
An insider on the way out.
Oh, 3 weeks.
To what?
Till I go home.
Where's that?
London?
Had enough of the tropics, eh?
I've been on the move 5 years. I'd like to go someplace and stay.
Camera! So it begins.
Ship left Shanghai a few days ago with arms for the PKI.
Look, I'm not telling you this to give you some fantastic scoop. I just want you to save your life.
If you let the story break, everyone will know it came from her.
Lee, I can't let a story like that just lie.
You have changed.
Guy, you can't use this.
Then you shouldn't have told me.
You are capable of betrayal. You would grow addicted to risk. Why can't you learn to love? I gave you my trust. So did Jill. That's why I gave you those stories you think are so important. I made you see things. I made you feel something about what you write. I created you.
What is it? What's going on?
Some people have taken over government.
Amran! Amran!
I don't want to lose you.
No!
I'll be on that plane.
Identification, Guy Hamilton in Jakarta. Lead in for story. Exclusive interview with the leader of the Indonesian... This is Guy Hamilton in Jakarta for ABS.
Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer presents a new film by Peter Weir. Mel Gibson. Sigourney Weaver. The Year of Living Dangerously.
I'm looking for a job. In fact, I've made up my mind to find a career that I can learn and grow into. Who am I? I'm a hard worker. I set high goals, and I've been told that I'm persistent.
And I'm thinking, the television news might just be something I love, as well as something I happen to be good at.
Now, I know that today's work culture no longer caters to the job loyalty that could be promised to earlier generations. What I believe is that good things come to those who work their asses off. And that good people who reached the top of the mountain didn't just fall there. motto is, if you want to win the lottery, you have to make the money to buy a ticket. You have to make the money to buy a ticket. You have to make the money to buy a ticket. You have to make the money to buy a ticket. You have to make the money to buy a ticket!